From a conservative standpoint,
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
I respect that. We don't agree. Listen to both sides.
This,
let's get it on,
is the Marc Cox Morning Show.
All right, good morning to you. It's a Thursday morning. Man, this month is flying by. The 29th day of May, if you can believe it, and maybe a little bit of rain in the forecast for later today. Looks like it's maybe already over on the western part of the state, so I'm going to get some of that. But glad you're with us. A gorgeous start to your day out there. Just under 60 degrees as you head out the door. Just enough that you might need a light jacket. I don't know. I put a vest on just because just a little chilly, but it's going to warm up nicely in the mid 70s at some point. That's a good thing. So I'm in here alongside Kim St. Ange and Ethan Bright this morning. We will check in with Sue Thomas and get your traffic in just a couple of minutes. The reaction, Kim, to the abortion ruling by the Supreme Court has been swift. Have you noticed that?
Well,
by the local media?
I'm not. Yeah, I mean,
Shocked.
I'm not surprised.
They're shocked. Abortions have stopped. How can abortions stop?
The voters approved it. How can you possibly do this?
Yes, that's pretty much been it. That's been the reaction. Which you know, I mean, it's just a pause till they get this figured out. The judge will have to go back and revise his or her ruling, and then it'll be back on. Unfortunately, so
could be what 2 weeks or so that they would take. We were just talking with Mike O'Connell about that yesterday.
You mean with?
I'm sorry, 2 weeks.
Beavis Shock.
With Beavis Shock, he was saying 2 weeks that it might take for them to be able to rewrite this and submit it, and then unfortunately, abortion being available again.
Yeah,
I don't even know how to phrase that.
The killing will continue shortly. We just only a brief pause here for you, but they're having to send people to other states right now. So that's the thing.
They'll go to Illinois.
Unfortunately, they're having to direct people across the border into Illinois if they want to get an abortion. Maybe they'll put that mobile abortion truck back in service that was running up and down the border with Illinois for a while, just to save all the Missouri women who had to end their pregnancy. They could just drive across and meet the mobile abortion clinic.
You mean the same mobile abortion clinic that was proudly outside the DNC?
And
Wasn't it that if you went in there, I don't know if it was like you got an abortion, I can't remember, but there was some restaurant in DC or wherever they were having that was like offering hot dogs or something.
Minneapolis or something. It was up north somewhere, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember where it was. But anyway, point being, it was some weird deal where it was like, come get an abortion, get a hot dog.
It's crazy. Just crazy. But maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. All I know is that I scoured the websites this morning, Kim, and I was right. Not a single local TV station yesterday covered the fact that a local man was charged with vandalizing and harassment of Tesla owners. If you Google this on the Channel 4 website, the Channel 5 website, the Channel 2 website, what will pop up is a story about Elon Musk. If you type in Tesla, story about Elon Musk, and a story from about 3 weeks ago of protesters outside the Tesla dealership in Chesterfield. And that's it. Nothing else.
Why don't we tweet at him? In fact, I'll do that this morning.
Okay.
I'll tweet at KSTK, Fox 2, and Channel 4, and the Post-Dispatch, and let's just see.
Why no coverage? Why are you completely ignoring this? Because if it was the other way around, it would be the lead story. I'm convinced of it. You won't convince me otherwise that the media is not being completely biased on this particular story. There have been charges filed. It's not like they're, let's wait and see if anything happens with it. It's happened. It happened a month ago. Actually, there's video of it, and they're just ignoring it. So William Howells, I assume we've heard nothing back from Washington University.
No, and I made several calls. I emailed. Nothing.
Crickets. I don't understand it now. It's a personnel issue. We're not dealing with it. Is the guy still employed there? I mean,
That was my question.
I don't know. I'm not looking for him to lose his job, but
No.
his name has been scrubbed from the website. Oddly enough,
It's
and
a
the
fair
university,
question. How are
it's
you
a fair
handling
question.
this?
How have you handled this? You have an employee charged with harassing people who have a different, well, not even people who have a different political point of view. They don't. Just because they're driving a certain brand of car, he's decided he's going to harass them. If it was sexual harassment, would you deal with it differently? I don't know. Maybe it's harassment. So that's what the charge is. So I've been watching. These are the things that I was watching yesterday, and I didn't see anything on any of the local news coverage. Despite me even texting one of the people that worked at a specific station with the information, nothing that I could tell. Anyway, just very strange. I'm going to have to inquire as to whether or not a conversation was even had. Guess what? We've got a great show for you today, including the man, the myth, the legend, Tom Homan, the Bulldog.
Border czar himself.
Yes, indeed. Direct from the White House or wherever he happens to be when he calls in here this morning. But it's 7:08. We are going to get Tom Homan on the line. And among other things, we want to talk to him, obviously, about the border, but the big, beautiful bill and what it could do if it gets passed in terms of border security. It finally provides real funding to finish off that border wall and shut down this flow of narcotics and, methamphetamine and fentanyl and everything else that's coming into this country from Mexico. And maybe Canada. I don't know how much of it is focused on the northern border, but I have heard that since the southern border has been cracked down on, that some of that activity has moved to the northern border. So we'll get it directly from Tom Homan. Love that guy. When you see him, and I've had a chance to meet him a couple of occasions, it looks like he's walking into a strong wind, like he's always moving forward. I love that about him, and he projects the same attitude when you interview him and when he's on camera. So that's coming up at 7:08 this morning. We will also talk a little bit more with Jeremy Cady. I mentioned the article he wrote yesterday about stadium funding and whether or not the Missouri taxpayer has any business underwriting the cost of a new professional sports stadium in the state of Missouri. Even if it is in Kansas City, let's take our Kansas City bias out of it for a minute. It's not supporting a St. Louis sports team. Even if it was, do we get any economic return from doing that as taxpayers? And Jeremy Cady's response is no, and he ran the numbers, and I'm going to let him explain that to you coming up here. Also in the 7 o'clock hour at about 7:20 this morning, we're going to get Jeremy on here. So stay tuned for that, and we'll get to that for you coming up. Right now, let's get to our top stories and revise that. Go ahead and take the first one for me, Ethan, if you don't mind.
The Marc Cox short list.
The other thing on the internet is the Epstein files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is the same as everything else. I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever, but I'm also not going to rush to get it out there in a format in which they can't rely on it.
Yeah. Kash Patel, I don't know. If you've been scratching your head on why some more of the Jeffrey Epstein stuff and all that has not been forthcoming, he's like, well, I'm still looking into it, but I'm not going to rush it. That's your answer.
You mean that a federal judge has intervened with the other two branches' ability to make policy? I'm shocked. That hasn't happened since yesterday.
John Kennedy talking about the 3-judge panel that's trying to stop Donald Trump from invoking tariffs. This is going to end quickly, but for now, everybody's heralding another lower court judge decision trying to interfere with the executive branch.
We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. It's called negotiation, but I knew that. but don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question.
Yeah, they asked Donald Trump. Somebody said, you chicken out when it comes to tariffs and you keep backing away, and he just let him have it with both barrels. Good for you, Mr. President.
Abortion providers have started sending patients out of state when the Missouri Supreme Court essentially banned abortion once again in the state. This is something that those clinics did during those 2 years abortion was banned between the Dobbs decision and Amendment 3.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there it is. That's what they're worried about. That was from the Capitol Bureau yesterday for Channel 4. So if you need an abortion, we're going to send you to Illinois for now. And then we'll come. You can come back over here once we've secured medical providers, maybe who can actually work at local hospitals, right? Maybe you can come back after there's a guarantee that we're going to sanitize the forceps and whatever other nasty instruments they use to perform the abortions. That's all the state of Missouri was demanding, was some minimum safety standards before you get an abortion. And the left hated that. And some judge agreed with them and agreed to let them go ahead and do abortions without any of those safety features in place.
But I go back to the question I had yesterday, which is, let's just say this is a 2-week process where they're able to resume abortions here in Missouri. How are you going to hire the employees needed to comply?
It may take a
How
little
are you
longer
going to
than that.
verify
Well,
you're using the sterilization process that should have been done before this ever happened?
My guess is, and it won't be an answer that you like, is that the judge who is pro-abortion probably will rewrite the order to fit whatever the court insisted that she say, by changing one word here or one word there, and then it'll allow abortions to go back into effect.
You mean so they won't have
is-
to have them hired? They
I-
won't
my
have to
guess
prove
is
that.
it might just be a very brief pause. And I don't think Andrew Bailey will put up with that. I think he'll go back to the Supreme Court on them and insist that they have these safety requirements in place. We'll see. We need to get the Attorney General on here and talk about that for sure. All right, we'll get to a quick break here. We come back, talk a little bit more about that tariff ruling last night. The media, of course, losing their minds over it. And I thought John Kennedy summed it up very well. Wow. It's been since yesterday since a judge stepped in and tried to stop a different branch. You're right, Senator Kennedy. You're absolutely right. Right now, let's get to our national anthem, please.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and love of the brave.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, good morning to you. We are off to a good start, and things are quiet out there, quiet through North County. You know, the biggest issue we had yesterday was in the afternoon, and it's, of course, the emergency bridge deck repair, eastbound 5564, and the lane closures on the Poplar Street Bridge through a spot in East St. Louis. And that's in effect through Friday. So it's still in effect today, some lane closures there. But right now, it doesn't matter. It's going against rush hour, and it's really early. So we still look good. Something comes up, I'll let you know. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
You got to love your windows when you think about them, right? Because they protect you from the elements. Hopefully they keep the cold air in the summer, the hot air in the winter, but sometimes that doesn't always happen. And usually it's spring when you realize you have a problem, because you're more likely to be out there cleaning your windows or lifting them up and letting some air in. That's the time to call Window World. Let them come out and tell you how they can fix your windows. If you got one with a broken seal, or maybe several of them that are getting kind of old, this is also a great time for them to tell you about the fact that they're offering 0% financing in this high interest environment that we're in. That's a big deal. Get the work done now. Take your time paying for it. You're not paying any extra in finance fees for between 18 and 36 months if you qualify. That's what Window World is doing to make this whole process a little bit easier for you. It's a great company. They give you a lifetime warranty on their windows. They're not into the high pressure sales pitch at all. You're just dealing with a great local franchise that has been taking care of energy efficiency and looks in houses for over 20 years now, and they're great at it. Highly rated on Google reviews and the Better Business Bureau. Call them at 314-993-1800. Tell them Marc Cox sent you. That's 993-1800, or go online to windowworldstl.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They're in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
A man, a myth, America. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Find everything Marc Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
Big news night. A federal court just blocked the majority of Trump's tariffs. The Court of International Trade saying he overstepped his authority under an International Emergency Economic Powers Act. This was, I believe, the 3-judge panel. There was a Reagan appointee, a Trump appointee, and a Biden appointee on this particular panel. This was kind of widely predicted among those who study trade closely. So those European tariffs blocked.
Yeah, blocked. Again, temporarily. That was Laura Ingraham was on the air last night when this story broke. So it's an international, it's a court that looks at international trade issues specifically. And the ruling basically said that they acknowledge the fact that the president has the power given to him by Congress to levy tariffs. But they seem to attack the fact that he levied tariffs on a lot of countries at the same time. So you either have the ability to levy tariffs or you don't have the ability to levy tariffs. So she happened to be doing an interview with Senator John Kennedy when this particular news broke. She said, "Excuse me, Senator, we have some breaking news." And then she asked for his reaction, which I thought was classic Kennedy and absolutely correct, because this will be appealed. It'll probably, the decision will never even go into effect, and it's going to have no effect on these overseas tariffs. Listen.
You mean that a federal judge has intervened with the other 2 branches' ability to make policy? I'm shocked. That hasn't happened since yesterday.
5 minutes ago.
It'll be appealed. I think it's pretty clear that the president has tariff authority. Congress gave it to him. Now you can debate whether that was a prudent move or not, but I think it's pretty clear that he has tariff authority.
Yeah.
Sorry, the funniest part is that hasn't happened since yesterday.
Yeah. That's what they do. They judge shop. They knew exactly which court to go to. And they got the ruling they wanted temporarily, but it's not going to have any impact. All these negotiations are already underway, and Donald Trump won. Donald Trump will win. This is not anything that's going to make these tariffs go away. He did this successfully on a much smaller scale during his first administration, and he's doing it again now. And the market is going to respond overwhelmingly in favor of all these new trade deals that are going to get inked as a result of this. Billions of dollars will flow into the United States economy because we will be able to compete with foreign countries on a more level footing. It's not brain surgery. The United States has been taken advantage of for 40 plus years by some of these foreign countries. And you had presidents come and go who were part of the establishment, and they had no intention of bucking it. And Donald Trump proved once again why he was the only man for this job, because he's the only one with the guts and no ties to the establishment that would work actively against the best interests of the United States. This policy is the epitome of make America great again. You do what's in the best interest of your country first before you bend over backwards to give away taxpayer dollars to foreign countries. And that's what we've been doing. I love that, I don't know if you read The Art of the Deal, but you don't have to. If you've ever negotiated for anything in your life, you should understand just basic give and take on a negotiation. That's what it's about. You always ask for more than you expect to get the first time around. If you don't, you're just hurting yourself. Why would you do that? Donald Trump understands that better than anyone, except the mainstream media in this country and the establishment who've been getting rich off the old system, and they don't like it. So, all right, we're going to get to Kim on a whim when we come back. Tom Homan at 7:08. Stay tuned.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow, and hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
All right, so you've got a few days left in May to take advantage of this with my friends at Chesterfield Fence. They are offering you 48 months, same as cash financing, 48 months interest-free financing for those who qualify, obviously. But you mentioned my name, you get that deal, you get your project done now, you take your time paying for it, and it's not costing you any extra. I don't know how you beat that. First of all, you're working with a company that is in their 57th year of business in the greater St. Louis area, owned by the same company, the same family, I should say. Chesterfield Fence and Deck has been one of the top names in home improvement with a commitment to the quality and professionalism for all those years. It's a name you know, it's a name you can trust, and if you got their sign in your yard, it's a sign that you have the very best. Whatever you want, pergolas, sunrooms, they can do it for you. Go online today. Tell them Marc Cox sent you. ChesterfieldFence.com.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report. Today, we'll find out how the economy held up at the start of the year. Revised numbers for the gross domestic product are released. More retail companies report earnings today. Costco Wholesale, Kohl's, Burlington Stores, Bath & Body Works, Foot Locker, American Eagle Outfitters, and others. Lou Bassanese of Prairie Operating Company says retail earnings are suggesting consumers are holding up better than anticipated.
Consumer household balance sheets are in the best shape they've been in history. Assets are 10 times higher than liabilities. Everyone focuses on credit card balances, but they don't put the whole picture in perspective. The consumer is not strapped like everyone is reporting. And this is clearly evident in all these retail reports.
Also reporting today, Hormel Foods and Red Robin Gourmet Burger. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
If you need to hire, you know it takes time. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You simply pick a time and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day.
Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Good morning to you. We look fine on the roads at this hour. Yep, it's really quiet out there, but there is a major project that's going to happen today on northbound 55. Well, 55 in general in the endless construction zone. Crews are going to move 2 lanes of northbound 55 traffic back to the northbound side. And that will start today after morning rush hour. So think at about 9 a.m. Now, drivers will continue to have 2 through lanes in each direction. And this is between Virginia and River de Pere, while crews restripe the lanes and place a barrier. And then about a week later, the 2 lanes of southbound traffic will shift to share the northbound side of the interstate. But today at 9, just know there will be some road work going on and restriping and possible delays. Northbound 55 near River de Pere. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. This report is brought to you by New Perspective Senior Living. New Perspective Weldon Spring is redefining senior living. They've got modern apartments, delicious meals, activities, entertainment, even a state-of-the-art AI fall detection system. Visit npseniorliving.com to schedule a tour today. This is traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is a special notice to all U.S. taxpayers with back taxes to the IRS. Billions in tax relief is now being made available to struggling taxpayers, giving thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars in savings away to those who qualify. If you're facing wage garnishment, threatening letters, audits, liens, levies, or already in a payment plan, you can now expedite the resolution to your tax problem, end collections, and even qualify to reduce a large portion of what you owe. Stop IRS Debt has established a relief hotline for you to call to check what savings and options you qualify for. Dial 800-317-1890. With many people facing job loss and rising cost of living, these special IRS initiatives are designed to aid delinquent taxpayers with the relief that they need to get a fresh start. For a free consultation to see what savings you qualify for, call 800-317-1890. 800-317-1890. 800-317-1890.
All right, just an example of the great training that is on hand at the Range St. Louis West. Today, for example, they're doing a practical pistol for armed professionals class. They've got women's basic handgun skills classes tomorrow, Missouri CCW certification, defensive handgun, concealed carry law review classes coming up. These are all things you can sign up for. And if you're a member at the range, and you don't have to be, you get a discount on all of that. You get a discount on classes, 15% off, ammo, accessories, 10% off, free rentals, free lanes. You get to do lane reservations. There's member-only shooting on Sunday mornings. It's just a great place to go. If you love the shooting sports, if you love the Second Amendment, you're going to love the Range St. Louis West. Here's their other special for members this month. They're more special just for the month of May. They will double the discount on all firearms. So that gun you've been wanting to buy, you can get 10% off if you're a member this month only at the Range St. Louis West. Go visit them at 14803 Manchester Road out in Baldwin. I will see you out there, I'm sure. I'm out there all the time. You can go online and shop right now at therangestl.com.
Helping St. Louis wake up. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Kim on a whim.
The Trump administration is now investigating the state of Washington over a recent law that to me is just wild, but not surprising in the least. So here's what happened. So earlier this month, the governor signed this that would essentially require all clergy. So of course that would include, Catholic clergy, to report any sort of child abuse confession. So when a Catholic would go to confession, if that person admitted and had asked for forgiveness for that, they would have to, by law, now report that to the state. Now, some of you, you and I have talked about how we're not Catholic,
right?
But I understand the importance of that sacrament for Catholics. But here's what's interesting, because some of you might be thinking, well, that sounds reasonable, that sounds appropriate, on the surface level. But supposedly this law makes a specific exception for mandatory reporting when it comes to doctors who hear admissions from patients and lawyers who hear admissions from clients. So why is there some sort of a exception for the doctors and the
patient confidentiality, and I would assume a lawyer's client confidentiality requirements exceed those of a religious situation like a priest.
I just don't know that I don't know that I agree with that.
That's not the law.
Well, it's a new law. They just signed this into law.
No, but I'm saying you've always had that confidentiality there existing between lawyers and doctors. But that's enforced by the law.
Right, that's always been in place, that you can admit to the crime and they don't have to report it.
Would require
clergy
specifically to basically violate their church dictate, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, so the Catholic Church is basically pushing back on this, and they have said, they've threatened priests, if you comply with this law and betray the confidentiality of the confessional, that they will face excommunication. In fact, one of the local Washington TV stations went out and did this, and they interviewed one of the priests, and I want you to hear from him.
I don't know of a single priest who would break the seal of confession. We'd all go to prison before we did that. Civil law has no meaning or threat to me whatsoever.
Now, I'm not surprised by that they're all saying they would go to prison before they would break that.
Well, who would confess anything if they knew that the priest by law would have to go report it to somebody? I mean, I see that. Now, I also see the twist there that the clergy abuse scandal that has rocked the Catholic Church and other churches for that matter, although not as widely maybe as the church clergy abuse scandal, it is audacious, and in many cases many more of the guilty parties might have been caught and prevented more abuse sooner under a policy like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I see both sides of that argument.
So that's why I was saying, when you just read it on the surface level, it makes sense. Like I get it. I don't want kids getting abused. No. I don't want that someone just to feel like they can be fine with saying, oh, well, I am asking for forgiveness and therefore I'm going to keep doing it, but I don't agree with that. But I also don't agree with the idea of confessional. But anyway, that's because I'm not Catholic. But this whole thing is very interesting to me to see what happens with this. They also, as part of the story, that TV station interviewed somebody who says she had been abused by someone in the church. And she's obviously frustrated. Well, she celebrates this, but she's frustrated that she feels like people have gotten away with it. Listen to her talking about it.
It's about children.
That seal of confession is not in the best interest of especially children reporting sexual abuse. It may be helpful to adults who want the secrecy for whatever reason, but to a child who's been harmed seriously, I believe the church needs to review the canon law and change it.
The Justice Department is announcing that this would be a First Amendment investigation.
Wow.
Into what they're calling an anti-Catholic law.
I don't know. I struggle with it.
I do get the struggle because I want to protect the kids.
The church covered up that scandal for many, many years by taking the abusers and moving them around to different places, and the abuse continued. So in other words, they just sort of looked the other way, and thousands of children's lives were changed forever. And the church, I don't think, has ever taken full responsibility for that. Now, changing the rules, making a law, changing the rules of confession, I'm not sure is the answer to it. Guilty conscience ought to have been the answer to it a long time ago. There clearly wasn't enough of that.
I could justify. I go back and forth on this too. I could justify saying you have to report it, but I guess I feel like if you're going to require Catholic clergy to report it, if someone says something about that in a confession, during confession, why would you not have a doctor report it? Like, if it's about, if this truly is about protecting the children, then why would you make an exception? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't. That's where I struggle with this, where I feel like there is reason to believe that this is anti-Catholic, because what I understand HIPAA, I get, but this isn't. HIPAA to me would be more like, oh, I have this disease or I have this whatever, and it's releasing my personal medical information. But if someone as a patient goes in and confesses to their doctor, I'm abusing this child, is that HIPAA? I don't know if I'm not saying it wouldn't be something else, but I don't think that would fall. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that would fall under HIPAA. So I don't see why. And aside from some other confidentiality clause or something that they have, what else would protect them from that information not being shared with the state or with local law enforcement? It's a tough one.
I don't know the answer to that. Here's what I know. We were on the priest abuse story probably first started ramping up with victims coming forward in the mid 90s, maybe even later than that, maybe 96, 97. And the reason I got hired at Channel 4 all those years ago is that there were suddenly 5 openings at Channel 4 because a reporter and a news director got fired for ethical violations in the way they handled a story concerning the Catholic Church. And I know I've told this story on the air before, but I think it just shows you the powers that were brought to bear to keep the lid of secrecy on this abuse. So they were the reporter. His name was Jeff Rainford. He served with Mayor Slay for years. He's still on the air with Reardon in the afternoons here now. He's been a consultant since he left reporting. Was contacted by a priest, an former altar boy who had said he'd been abused as a child and turned to a life of male prostitution. He lived out of state. He said that whenever he came back to St. Louis, he still would meet and get paid to have sex with the same priest that abused him 20 years earlier. So when he came to town, they tried to set up a sting-like operation where they had cameras trained on a room. They were going to record the two of them meeting, obviously not them having sex or anything. But when the church got wind of this story, they threatened to basically boycott, have every parish in St. Louis boycott Channel 4 for daring to try to do this story implicating a priest in child sex abuse. The reporter got fired. The news director left. Like 3 other reporters all left at the same time. This would have been in the summer of 93. And I came into town and looking for a job, and suddenly they had 5 openings. So I got a job indirectly as a result of that scandal. And had that been reported then, had they handled the story ethically, because the complaint was they violated the ethics of reporting because they basically participated in the illegal activity, like they paid for the room or something. I don't know, whatever wherever this was going to take place. And the local prosecutor, Peach, I think was his name, got involved, and he was going to file charges against Channel 4 unless they publicly agreed not to air the story and apologize to the Catholic Church. And I mean, it was a big deal, but it was one further bit of evidence that instead of being concerned about an altar boy who'd been abused by a priest who's now turned into a male prostitute because of that abuse, they were more concerned about the damage to the church, and therefore they shut it down.
Well, I find
and
that
had that story broken in 1993, it might have unleashed that floodgate of complaints against by people who'd been abused for years a lot sooner. But instead, it took maybe 2 or 3 or 4 more years longer before more of those stories started to surface, and that whole scandal really blew up.
Well, that was unacceptable, the way that was handled, that they came in and tried to shush everyone from trying to report it. I think, and I don't do with this what you want, but I think the difference might be that this isn't the church, the specifically talking about knowing a priest is abusing somebody. This is about somebody who's saying, coming into during confession.
Right.
So I know that sounds really harsh for me to say that, because obviously there's still a child that's being very badly hurt here. So that's why this whole situation this topic is so tough. But to me, it is a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, I know
it's not the church necessarily covering up something within the church. It's somebody from the outside coming in and saying to the priest, this is what's happening.
Yeah,
I just think if you're going to have the clergy be required to admit it, I think, for example, the doctor should be too.
Interesting. All right. Food for thought this morning, Kim. Thank you. Coming up, as I mentioned, we're going to talk to Tom Homan, the border czar himself, live right here about a few minutes after 7, about 7:05. So set your clock, or you can follow it up and listen to it on the podcast if you can't listen to it live. We'll get to all that and more for you coming up on the Marc Cox Morning Show.
The Marc Cox Morning Show on 97.1 FM Talk. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Still looking good on the roads this morning. Pretty quiet out there at this hour. I do want to mention that weather permitting, crews will shift the 2 northbound lanes of 55 between River to Pear and Virginia today between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And they're going to shift it back onto the northbound side. So hopefully that will go well. I mean, we've had it on 55. It just keeps going. So just one more thing. But that will happen today between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Now, on the roads currently, we look fine. In fact, the area has light volume at this hour, and we are actually in pretty good shape. This report brought to you by Siding Express. Transform your home with the beauty and durability of James Hardie Siding. At Siding Express, they specialize in James Hardie siding installation. Visit sidingexpress.com today to schedule a free consultation. That's sidingexpress.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, my friends at Air Comfort Service want you to know that their hearts go out to anybody affected by the storms recently that hit the greater St. Louis area. They're also there for you in the event that you might have had some damage you haven't thought about. Everybody thinks to check their siding and their roof and their cars maybe. You don't always think about your air conditioner unit, which sits just outside of your house. It is usually in a metal cage, but the top of it is open to allow airflow, right? Well, there are blades in there that can be damaged by the hail. There's a coil. And if that hail gets in there and bends those coil fins or the fan blade on top, guess what? It restricts airflow and it keeps your AC from running properly. you call Air Comfort Service, 314-513-0091. They'll come out and check it for you. They can tell you immediately if you've got storm damage. They can assess the damage and give you all the information you need so you can get a hold of your insurance company and you can get that taken care of. That is not inexpensive, and you don't want to be in the heat of summer and realize that you missed something there, some damage that nobody even gave you a heads up about. My friends at Air Comfort Service are happy to help. Just reach out to them, 314-513-0091, or visit aircomfortservice.com/storm.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Progressive can help you protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. And if something wasn't mentioned that you had in mind, find out if it can be covered at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE, because it probably can be.
If you're looking for the perfect weekend getaway that's close to home here in St. Louis, it's Innsbrook, just to the west of St. Louis, 100-plus lakes, hiking trails, a gorgeous golf course, and plenty of options for living, either full-time or with a vacation home. And this year at Innsbrook, the new Sonnenhaus homes are available. The Tyrolean Sonnenhaus combines the modern exterior of a treehouse with the cozy interior of a cottage. They are awesome, and you can find out more and explore everything about Innsbrook easily at Innsbrook-resort.com. That's Innsbrook-resort.com.
Marc Cox here. Join me at the 2025 Missouri Legislative Review, Thursday, June 5th at the Lodge de Pere. Meet top lawmakers, connect with party leaders and grassroots advocates. Learn more at 971talk.com/events.
Truth, justice, and the American way. This is the Marc Cox Morning Show. The Marc Cox Morning Show, on the air and streaming at 971talk.com.
The other thing on the internet is the Epstein files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is the same as everything else. I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever, but I'm also not going to rush to get it out there in a format in which they can't rely on it. So on the Epstein matter or any other matters, we are diligently working on that. And it takes time to go through years of investigations, years of political maneuvering, and years of cover-up to get the American people what they deserve. And that's what I'm going to give them on everything.
Yeah. And if somebody says, how long is that going to take? You know, we always see investigations in Washington that end up in blue ribbon commissions, and it doesn't seem like anything comes from it. Do you think actual prosecutions will come from some of this stuff?
I think from some of this stuff, when we go back and look at things like the pipe bomber case, the cocaine in the White House, January 6th, and Crossfire Hurricane, the prosecutorial decisions will lay at the Department of Justice, but we are rigorously investigating them, and I think we've developed some great leads. And I also think we're not going to wait for any blue ribbon commissions. That's up to Congress. If they want to do that, that's totally fine. They're a coordinate branch of government. But we've got answers coming on all these matters.
Good. Cash Patel there.
I do.
Yeah, Cash Patel there talking to Brett Baer. And this has gotten some mixed reaction. When you heard Patel and Bongino last week, both saying that Jeffrey Epstein did kill himself. Okay. Well, that would, I mean, he was found hanged in a cell, but he was on suicide watch. Who was watching him? I mean, how did that? There's still so many questions about that. So I think people have legitimate reasons for asking some of those questions. Okay, well, you've confirmed that he did indeed hang himself. How was that allowed to happen? If you're on suicide watch, people just conveniently didn't watch you for an hour. I mean, come on.
What does that entail, by the way? If you're on suicide watch,
I don't know.
Is it a small population of the jail? So someone is quite literally watching you, like sitting outside your cell?
You would think that would be like if you were constructing a policy for that, the policy would be, all right, we're putting a camera on this schmuck and we're going to have a guard in a chair right outside of his cell at all times so that he doesn't kill himself because he's got dirt on so many high-ranking people around the country and celebrities that we need to get that information out of him, and we're not letting him take the cheap way out. And instead, this guy was in a cell around the corner, blocked from view with no camera on him, and he was left alone for long enough to hang himself.
This is
I mean,
gonna be a dark,
come on.
This is a dark question. I know they take your shoelaces and your belt when you go to church. When you go to, they don't
Wow.
do that. They don't
Conflating
do-
those two, aren't you?
They don't do that when you go to jail. But was it a sheet? Is that, I can't remember. Is that
I
what he
think so.
used?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think
I
so.
don't know.
So listen, this was Dana Lash's response to that last night. Go to cut 3, please.
I find that answer very interesting because I feel like, Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying that there's a chance. Like, I feel like there's some information that can be gleaned from what he said. But, also, I give Kash Patel credit. He's going into a bureaucratic entity that has been drowning in partisanship and partisan ideology to the point where it's affected their operability. It's affected recruitment. It's affected their ability to even see through jobs and prevent tragedies. I mean, we could list those as well. So I would imagine it takes time. It's been, 4 months? I'm going to give him some grace on that. That said, I don't trust my government for anything. I mean, as far as I know, there's aliens out there in Bigfoot, Sasquatch communities. I have no clue. If you tell me, Dana, there's probably that chance that it's there, I believe it.
Yeah, thank you. What about Area 51? That's the one I want him to address next.
I would love to know more about that.
It's on a need-to-know basis, sir, and you don't have the need to know. That was a great line from
are you out
Independence Day.
there?
Are you kidding me? That's not real. And the Secretary of Defense says, well, sir, that's not exactly true. What do you mean? I'm the President of the United States. Well, you didn't have the need to know. Wow. All right. Coming up, we're gonna get to Tom Homan, Tom Ackerman. We got a big show for you. Stay tuned.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpet sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
Need a lawyer? Onder wins. Call Onder Law at 314-9-MILLION. That's 314-9 all zeros. Or go to onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Elbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
This is a special notice to all U.S. taxpayers with back taxes to the IRS. Billions in tax relief is now being made available to struggling taxpayers, giving thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars in savings away to those who qualify. If you're facing wage garnishment, threatening letters, audits, liens, levies, or already in a payment plan, you can now expedite the resolution to your tax problem, end collections, and even qualify to reduce a large portion of what you owe. Stop IRS Debt has established a relief hotline for you to call to check what savings and options you qualify for. Dial 800-317-1890. With many people facing job loss and rising cost of living, these special IRS initiatives are designed to aid delinquent taxpayers with the relief that they need to get a fresh start. For a free consultation to see what savings you qualify for, call 800-317-1890. 800-317-1890. 800-317-1890.
It's been more than 60 years since St. Louis was hit by a tornado of the scale we're witnessing. The Salvation Army has been in St. Louis providing relief for over 160 years and responded immediately following the latest round of storms. How can you help? The Salvation Army needs monetary donations so that needs can be addressed immediately. And as we look to long-term recovery, 100% of donations go directly to storm survivors. Donate at salarmy.us/mid-disaster or call 1-800-SAL-ARMY.
Step outside and fall in love with your backyard again. From inviting porch overhangs to durable composite decks and cozy screen rooms, Lakeside Renovation and Design creates stunning outdoor living spaces designed for relaxation, entertaining, and making memories. With expert craftsmanship and top-quality materials, your new outdoor oasis will be perfect for every season. Call Lakeside Renovation and Design today or visit lakesiderd.com to get started. Let's turn your backyard into the retreat you've always dreamed of.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
It's going over well on Wall Street for now. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Rising stock futures suggest gains after a federal court upended President Trump's trade policies, blocking many of his tariffs on foreign imports. The administration's vowing to appeal.
The rulings could certainly further delay ongoing trade talks with countries like India, China, Japan. The White House says, guys, it will appeal. We heard from a spokesperson overnight who told Fox it is not for unelected judges to decide how to properly address a national emergency. President Trump pledged to put America first, and the administration is committed to using every lever of executive power to address this crisis and restore American greatness.
Fox's Mark Meredith. U.S. Court of International Trade ruled the president exceeded his authority, invoking tariffs on many countries. The ruling, though, does not affect U.S. tariffs on aluminum, steel, and foreign cars and auto parts still in place. Some Fordham students won't be studying here anymore.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the State Department will be working with Homeland Security to revoke visas for Chinese students, including those connected to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields.
Fox's Jill Nato. China calls that discriminatory. There's a hearing today on Harvard's legal challenge to the Trump administration's attempt to block the university from enrolling new international students amid allegations of anti-Semitism on campus threatening Jewish students. Now, Israel is expanding in the West Bank, planning to establish 22 new Jewish settlements there while also still waging war in Gaza, where Palestinians say airstrikes killed another 13 people as ceasefire talks continue.
The Jerusalem Post quotes a source saying U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff has sent Hamas and Israel a modified ceasefire plan. The proposal would see 10 living hostages released in 2 stages, along with the bodies of 18 others.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Elon Musk is on his way out of Doge after a controversial time leading the Department of Government Efficiency. America's listening to Fox News.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in experience and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
Good morning to you. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. 56 degrees now at 6:03. One person was killed after a home exploded in Florissant. Police were called to the home on Trinity Lane near Graham Road yesterday evening around 5 o'clock. The home next door was also badly damaged from the explosion. Investigators at this point still trying to figure out what happened. A puppy is recovering after overdosing on opioids. The owner is now facing charges. A medic at BJC Hospital was able to treat the dog with Narcan Monday. St. Louis police say the puppy's owner, 35-year-old Ashley Harris, was at the emergency room for an undisclosed matter and had her puppy with her that was unresponsive. Harris is now charged with animal abuse and resisting or interfering with arrest. The Missouri National Guard is officially on the ground here in St. Louis to help residents who were impacted by that deadly tornado. The Guard is specifically preparing to open 4 different debris drop-off sites. Those will be throughout North City, and they'll open starting today. Initially, the plan was to keep the sites open for 2 weeks, though that time frame could be extended. 6:04, 56 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. In sports, Cardinals beat the Orioles 6-4, officially taking the series. Cards will face the Rangers tomorrow night. Well, the search is on for St. Louis City's new head coach after Olaf Melberg was fired. Interim head coach is David Critchley. He's been managing City 2, which is the reserve team for City SC. Speaking of City, next match coming up Saturday, and just before that, Battlehawks play tomorrow. 56 degrees now coming up on 6:05. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Yeah, we look good out there on the roads. Really no issues to report at this hour. Traffic is moving well throughout the entire area. Don't forget, of course, we've got road work going on. It's emergency bridge deck repairs eastbound 5564 on the Poplar Street Bridge to Broadway in East St. Louis, and the mainline lanes are shut down. And that many lane closures has really caused problems in the afternoon. They are still in place and should be, according to IDOT, through tomorrow. Also on Manchester, 8 o'clock this morning until 2 this afternoon. Watch for one right lane closed east and westbound at Baxter for some road work. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. This report brought to you by Artistic Decks on 97.1 FM Talk.
Artistic Decks, making your dream deck affordable for more than 20 plus years. Craft your deck with the highest quality materials with precision attention. Be the envy of the neighborhood. 314-280-0821. 314-280-0821. ArtisticDecks.net.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Not much going on with our weather today. Partly sunny skies. Pretty nice temperatures for this time of year, 76. Just a tiny chance of a sprinkle. Tonight, partly cloudy, 55. Evening temperatures dropping through the 70s. Not bad at all. Thursday, another weak system coming by. Partly to mostly cloudy. Some scattered showers, 74. Scattered showers Thursday night. But Friday is sunny and 75. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
56 degrees at 6:06. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show on 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere by downloading the free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
Listen to both sides.
The bottom line is, I respect that we don't agree.
You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Just to find a voice. Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
I don't know how to put this.
Marc Cox.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Well, it adds excitement, doesn't it, folks?
Good morning to you. It's a Thursday morning. We got a little bit of rain on the way here. Looks like by midday, probably we're going to be getting what they're already getting hit with over on the western side of the state. It doesn't look like anything severe, but certainly some wet weather is headed this way for you. Just a little heads up, depending on what your plans are. And if you didn't get the grass mowed yesterday, it may be a couple of days now. May move you into the weekend for sure. How about that, Ethan? It's going to rain in the middle of the week instead of on a weekend. So if you're planning any camping this weekend, you'll be all right.
Yeah, of course, we're not going anywhere.
No, of course not.
That's how it works.
It just rained all last weekend on you. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Marc Cox in here alongside Kim St. Ange and Ethan Bright and Sue Thomas with more on your traffic. Of course, maybe that rain will be out of here in time for Sue to get back in here this afternoon for traffic during the Reardon show. I don't know. I would hope so, but we have no problems out there this morning. I mean, the roads are dry. At least we have no weather related problems for sure. Sue will keep you up to date on all of that. All right, coming up, we're going to get to Tom Ackerman. I just saw him out in the lunchroom there in the break, and we were talking about. I said, "Hey, I got a big show this morning." He goes, "We're gonna kill it when I come in the studio." I'm like, "I've got the two Toms. I got Tom Ackerman. I got Tom Homan." He goes, "Really?" He goes, "Who's first?" I'm like, "You are." He goes, "All right, good. Well, we'll trump him. Don't you worry about that. That's coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We got Tom at 6:35, and we got that's Ackerman, and we got Tom Homan, the border czar, live in here about 1 hour from now. He's going to be calling in from Washington, D.C., so we're looking forward to that. We're also going to talk about to Jeremy Cady about whether or not you and I, as taxpayers in the state of Missouri, well, for any state for that matter, but right now the issues in the state of Missouri, the special session starts Monday. Should taxpayers foot the bill for a new Kansas City Royals Stadium and vast improvements to Arrowhead? My argument would be no, but Jeremy Cady is bringing the goods. He's got the receipts. He goes, he's studied this. He's got financial data from other towns in terms of the impact these sports teams have on local economies. And his argument is, no, we shouldn't have anything to do with that. And he's trying to make that argument to Jeff City. Now, people like Cindy O'Loughlin, who as somebody pointed out yesterday, posts things on social media but doesn't allow any comments, seems to think that she's taken a brief survey and she thinks there's broad support. So she's going to go to Jeff City next week, it looks like, the leader of the Senate, and push for these subsidies for the sports stadiums. And we'll talk to Jeremy Cady about this, but if you are of the mind that it's not in the best interest of the taxpayer, you may need to get the email address for Senate leadership and House leadership and let them know how you feel, because they're only hearing from a very small slice of people right now. So we're going to get to Jeremy Cady at about 7:22 this morning. Stay tuned for that. All right, first, let's get to our top stories, Ethan, please.
The Marc Cox short list.
Race-based loan forgiveness. It's in black and white, buried in the American Rescue Plan Act. The United States Secretary of Agriculture shall provide a payment in an amount up to 120% of the outstanding indebtedness of each socially disadvantaged farmer or rancher.
Yeah, that was a Biden administration policy that got challenged in court, and the administration lost. But there's a whistleblower who's come forward to say they continued the discrimination in spite of the court ruling and continued to do loan forgiveness for everybody except white people.
There was a line of people waiting to shake hands with our respective husbands,
Okay.
You know, people like reaching over our heads and spilling water on us, trying to get to these two. Saw the look on her face, which expressed the sentiments that I felt, which was
pissed off.
Isn't it awful? It's tough to be Michelle Obama because you're always being overshadowed by, I don't know, the man who happened to have been president of the United States. So she's angry when she goes to events where people ignore her and just want to shake hands with Barack.
We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. It's called negotiation, but I knew that. But don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question.
Reporter said to President Trump, some people are saying you're a chicken when it comes to you're a chicken when it comes to how you negotiate tariff policies. And boy, he's like, it's called negotiation. So before you parrot things like that from other people who don't know what the hell they're talking about, think it through.
Abortion providers have started sending patients out of state when the Missouri Supreme Court essentially banned abortion once again in the state. This is something that those clinics did during those 2 years abortion was banned between the Dobbs decision and Amendment 3.
Yep. That's how the local media is covering this Supreme Court decision on abortion, right? That they have blocked it temporarily. And we had Beavis Shock on here yesterday. I thought he explained it very well for a very complicated issue. It's complicated because basically what the court said was the lower court judges made an error in how they interpreted the law, the new law, the new constitutional amendment, in terms of which current ordinances it overrode. And that they needed to go back and look at that again because it ignored obvious things that were obviously put in there not to prevent abortion, but to guarantee the safety of the women who were going through abortion. Simple things like sanitizing equipment at the abortion clinic and telling women you have a right to see an ultrasound before you abort your child if you want to. You don't have to, but you have a right to do it. Well, at Planned Parenthood, the last thing they want you to do is think through what you're about to do to your child. So showing you the heartbeat is not what they want to do. So they had tried to cancel all of those things, and now the Supreme Court said, wait a minute, you ruled on this in error. You've got to go back and look at this again. You can't just throw out all of these laws that you don't like because abortion is now legal in the state of Missouri.
I believe pregnancy centers will always show the woman an ultrasound because they know that as soon as that that mom to be sees that sweet little heartbeat or the baby kicking around, they might change their mind and instead choose life. And Planned Parenthood knows that.
They know
and
that
they don't
very
they
well.
don't want people to see that ultrasound.
Yeah. That is what they're working on. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And now what are they going to do? Just send them to across the river to Illinois, where they have mobile abortion clinics and abortion on demand and all of that stuff. So it's temporary. Unfortunately, they'll reinstitute abortion soon enough in the state of Missouri. Another reason why this fix for Amendment 3 cannot come soon enough. All right, coming up, we're going to talk to Mike Hahn. He used to work for the Trump campaign. He's a GOP strategist. Did you hear the Golden Dome comments that the president made earlier this week? He's like, hey, we're going to have a Golden Dome. It's going to protect us from ICBMs and all kinds of stuff coming in from other countries. Canada would like to be covered by it, too. They want us to extend the dome. But maybe we'll do that if they become the 51st state, because he's always negotiating. We're going to get Mike's take on that because people keep talking about it. I don't know how realistic it is, but they're still talking about it. So we'll get to that for you coming up right after the break.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We are looking good on the roads. Summer traffic in effect, and we are fine through North County. Eastbound 70, 64, 40, and 44 all look good at this hour. And that's from out west into downtown. Let's see. We do have some road work scheduled. And on Olive today, 8 o'clock this morning until 2 this afternoon, one eastbound and westbound lane is scheduled to be closed at North and South Road, and a major lane shift on northbound 55 after 9 o'clock this morning, just around the Loughborough area. We'll call it River de Pere. They're going to shift the northbound lanes back to the northbound side, so there will probably be some lane closures through there at the time. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
All right, let's talk flooring for just a minute. No matter what you happen to be looking for, there's that excitement, that wow factor when you get new flooring put in as a homeowner, because it changes the look of the inside of your home. Sometimes very dramatically. Sometimes you decide that, well, what I've got here is kind of outdated. It's what was in the house when I bought it. It's time for an upgrade. Go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. You know, Mike Reynolds understands that you're going to shop around. He encourages it. He knows smart consumers do that. There's a reason why so much of their business is repeat business at Michael's. Look at me. I'm a 4-time repeat customer at Michael's, dating back to long before they had anything to do with this radio show. And I went up there because I heard of their reputation, and boy, it's true. The customer service is par none. They follow up every single time to make sure that you're satisfied at the end of the transaction, that you got the floor installed properly and on time, and you're happy with it. They work with you on selecting the right flooring. Maybe it's luxury tile or luxury vinyl or whatever it is you're looking for. We chose engineered hardwood. Couldn't be happier with it. And they've got some great Mohawk products up there too, including that waterproof flooring. Be sure and ask them about the RevWood Select and the RevWood Plus when you go in. They'll come to you. It says it right there on their website. Go to igotfloored.com or just visit them in person. They're in Old Town St. Peters. They're in West County off of Olive west of 270, and in Darden Prairie, it's Michael's Flooring Outlet.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour.
I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're gonna be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TRADE25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TRADE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TRADE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code TRADE25.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 39 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
It's only scary because it's true. You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show. Follow the show on Facebook, facebook.com/The Marc Cox Show.
Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles, even if they are launched from other sides of the world and even if they are launched from space. And we will have the best system ever built. As you know, we helped Israel with theirs, and it was very successful. And now we have technology that's even far advanced from that, but including hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, and advanced cruise missiles. All of them will be knocked out of the air. We will truly be completing the job that President Reagan started 40 years ago, forever ending the missile threat to the American homeland, and the success rate is very close to 100%. Which is
wow, pretty amazing. President Trump yesterday talking about the Golden Dome and referencing Ronald Reagan and the Strategic Defense Initiative and all of that stuff. I don't know. He says he can get it done in a hurry. We got Mike Hahn on the line this morning. He is a GOP strategist, former Trump campaign social media director. And Mike, welcome in.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Absolutely. So I did hear the president's comments, and he goes, yeah, and by the way, Canada wants to be under the dome too, but I told him they can only do that if they're the 51st state.
Yeah, this is the art of the deal, right? Yeah. Donald Trump wants something, he's going to make you come to the table and negotiate. So, I mean, look, if I'm Canada, I'm looking at either a really large price tag of $61 billion, or I could become part of the greatest nation on earth and be fully protected by external threats from China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. I think I know what I'm taking here. So, look, I think President Trump, at the end of the day, is statehood likely for Canada? Probably not. But you know what is likely is cooperation. So Canada will come to the table on trade, and they're certainly going to come to the table on the Golden Dome because they need protection. And they also can't have bad trade relations with the strongest economy in the Northern Hemisphere, and that's the United States.
I'm just surprised that Donald Trump has even discussed the idea of Canada becoming the 51st state, although I agree with you. I don't think that's ever going to happen. And I say that because Canada is very liberal. There's some very crazy policies there. And you think about the impact that could have here in the United States, and specifically the makeup of the Electoral College. I mean, do we really want that?
Yeah, I've thought about that myself. I certainly don't want two more liberal senators from Canada.
No. Right.
If Canada were to become the 51st state, we'd have to divide it up and make it multiple states and end up probably being about 56 different states.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, look, I don't think the end game for Donald Trump really is to make Canada the 51st state. I think he's certainly using it as a negotiation tactic because we have serious trade issues with Canada. And we also have serious security issues when it comes to our northern border, and certainly now with the Golden Dome. So I think Donald Trump's certainly using this as a negotiation tactic to get what he needs out of Canada on those two very important issues.
Yeah, Mike Hahn with us. Of course, he used to work for the Trump campaign. And Mike, I've said this yesterday. I made the observation that the president brought up Ronald Reagan and the Strategic Defense Initiative with this whole Golden Dome idea, and Ronald Reagan used that as a tool at the time to drive the Soviet Union into ruin. And I almost have to wonder if Trump's not sort of doing the same thing. I mean, that's a massive undertaking to get completed in 4 years. You think it's realistic?
I do think it's realistic. I mean, when I think back to Trump's first term, he also was able to get the Space Force done, which was obviously a huge poke in the eye to some of our adversaries. If you look at the response from Russia, China, and North Korea to the Golden Dome, they hate the idea. They think that they think that it's going to lead to some type of like nuclear Armageddon in space. That's obviously not true. They hate the idea because it makes America significantly safer. And it is a vision that Reagan had. And if there's anyone to get it done and across the finish line, it's Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, you remember the policy back then they talked about was called MAD, mutually assured destruction. And if one country is protected from that, then suddenly there's no balance there between nuclear superpowers. And you could certainly see them trying to, like China, whose economy is on the brink, trying to somehow compete with the U.S. in that realm. I think he's using this as economic leverage as well.
I agree. And he's smart to do so. I mean, this is, as much as we're trying to get Canada to the negotiation table, we're also trying to get China to the negotiation table as well. And those negotiations continue to take place on the tariffs. So China would be well advised to come to the table and negotiate with the president on the tariffs before their economy is completely destroyed, so that they can compete with the United States on defense, and they'd be smart to do so.
I got about a minute and a half left here. Mike Hahn is my guest. He worked on social media as the director for the Trump campaign. So on the tariff ruling last night by that court, I see this as a temporary setback. I mean, I think the president clearly has tariff authority here.
Yeah, I think the president clearly has tariff authority, and it's funny because they didn't come out and do this in the first term at all when President Trump used tariffs as threats. So, I mean, this is just more examples of lawfare and the Democrats using weaponized judicial system to try and stop the president, because they can't stop him in elections now. They can't stop him in Congress. So they're trying to weaponize the judiciary with these just whack job liberal judges. And I don't think it's going to stand, certainly not on appeal. The president obviously has authority.
I would agree with that. Mike Hahn, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Yep. Take care of yourself. Appreciate that. I think the Supreme Court will smack that down pretty quickly, just like John Kennedy said. Another judge, another day. And we move on. Lawfare is what that's commonly referred to, isn't it? Coming up, Tom Ackerman, we'll get him in here talking a little bit about the Cardinals and maybe the soccer team. We'll be back in just a minute.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Well, if you looked at the radar this morning, the rain is coming. It's over in the middle of the state right now, probably before noon. It's going to be raining here, and that's why if you have a basement that is leaky, you need to call Home Shield Foundation Repairs today. Let Matt Hayes come over there, and he can get things sized up for you and fixed the way they're supposed to. I've mentioned before, Matt's a foundation specialist. He also is the owner and operator of Home Shield Foundation Repairs. This is a local family-owned company. So you're not dealing with some big conglomerate who's going to send their salesman of the month to your basement. You want somebody who's going to be honest with you, somebody who's going to be there to stand behind their work. That's my friend Matt, and he can take care of waterproofing those cracks in your walls. If you've got bowing or leaning walls, he can put that Invisibeam by Fortress in there and give you a lifetime warranty. Check out the video on their website. Go to homeshieldfoundationrepairs.com.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. 56 degrees at 6:30. In the Metro East, a Fairview Heights police officer is making good progress in the hospital after she was shot in the face earlier this month. 5 officers were hurt on May 17th while responding to a call about a suspicious person. 3 of the officers were shot. Now, the suspect is in custody. Backstoppers and the Tyler Timmons Memorial Foundation are supporting the officers' families. St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer trying to suspend a city ordinance that requires insurance companies to withhold part of an insurance claim payment from tornado victims. The ordinance directs agents to hold up to 25% of that payment and give it to the city to deposit into an interest-bearing account. Spencer says she wants an exception made for natural disasters like this one, or to find some other solution so homeowners get the full payment. In sports, Cards beat the Orioles 6-4. They'll face the Rangers tomorrow. Search is on for St. Louis City's new head coach after Olaf Melberg was fired. The interim head coach, David Critchley, he's been managing City 2, the reserve team for City SC. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Looking pretty good on the roads at this hour. There's a little bit of moderate volume northbound 270 at Doherty Ferry, northbound 55 around Bayless. And on the Illinois side, we've got a jam at Route 3 in both directions near Monsanto Avenue as a train goes back and forth. And other than that, we're good. And that's fine through North County and throughout really the rest of the area. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Point Pest Control is reminding you it's time to spray for mosquitoes. How can something that tiny interrupt your outside gatherings? Have Point Pest Control spray today so your next outside gathering is mosquito-free. 636-798-0023. Mention Annie to save an additional 10%. PointPestControl.com.
Well, I don't know about you. In retirement, I would like to travel, to haul my camper around the country, see the beautiful sights, maybe do a little bit of fishing. I think that would be fantastic. Everybody's dream of retirement is different, and whatever yours is, you got to figure out a way to pay for it. You got to plan. You have to know what the 3 legs of your stool are going to be, right, that are bringing in income each month so you can pave the way. Retirement Advisory Group concentrates on that. They help people who've saved a nest egg, and that's going to provide part of their financing for retirement. You have to protect it. The market ups and downs can be kind of scary the last month. Here's what you need to know. None of the people who are currently clients of the Retirement Advisory Group lost a dime when the market dropped the past 2 months. Even though it's recovered, they didn't have that stress because their money is not invested directly in the market. They can take advantage of gains, but they don't take losses. And they'll be happy to explain that to you. Thomas Elbig, Bob Kershaw, Tammy Kershaw at the Retirement Advisory Group. It's all they do. Call them today for your free meeting, 314-993-9494, or go online to retirementkey.com.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
100-mile-per-hour discussion starters, even in heavy traffic. This is the Marc Cox Morning Show. Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
Nothing seems to fit those raindrops of all. All right, welcome back. So we're going to talk a little bit of sports right here. I've got the two Toms on today. First, I've got the big guy, Tom Ackerman. Then I've got Tom Homan. You might have heard of him. He's the United States border czar. Let's get to Tom, number one.
A great sports mind like Tom Ackerman. Baseball is really not a hard sport.
It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
It's like powered by coffee this morning.
Sports, sponsored by McDonald's, reminding you to round up your total for Ronald McDonald House charities on your next order.
You're number one, Tom, and it's not just because you're the one in the studio right now.
Oh, nice.
How about that?
I am honored. I'm honored to be able to go first, bat lead off, if you will. Sports, the great unifier. You know, we can sit here and talk about politics and about, your views on certain things. What I love about sports is everybody's welcome into that building and can root on the St. Louis Cardinals. And let me tell you, that team is good, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. They are going to be hanging around this race. They've won 18 of 23. The crowds are back. Memorial Day weekend was great, and I think they're going to be coming back here June 3rd. They host the Royals, and then the Dodgers, and then the Blue Jays. A 9-game homestand is coming up after they travel through the Texas Rangers this weekend. They just took 2 out of 3 from the Baltimore Orioles, and they're a fun baseball team. I highly encourage people, it's not too late to get on board and follow this team. They are the real deal. These guys are entertaining, but they're also gritty, I would say. There's no one star on this team necessarily. They just find ways to win. I am very impressed with how the Cardinals are going about their business.
Do you think they just got into their rhythm, something clicked, or was there something specific you think that changed?
I think they're just all young, mostly, except for Contreras and Arenado and some of the pitchers like Gray and Michaelis, who's really been good, who's turned his season around. But, they're just young guys who didn't have the experience yet. And we're going to have to go through some growing pains. And now they're starting to find a rhythm in their offense, which has been impressive in the middle innings. The Cardinals just don't have an easy out in their lineup. They all make contact for the most part. Even Gorman and Walker have started to turn it on here lately and are finding ways to pound the ball into the gaps. Mason Wynn had 4 hits yesterday. He's really started to turn it on. And then, the pitching. The one thing the Cardinals have that the Cubs don't, and the Cubs are the best team in the NL Central right now, but the Cardinals haven't played them yet and won't until June 23rd. The Cardinals have a closer, and a really good one, and Ryan Helsley. He had another save last night. He now has 12. And if you're going to go make a run for the playoffs in this game, in this business, you have to have a closer. Cubs don't have one yet. They have not established one. The Cardinals obviously do. The best closer in the game last year was Ryan Helsley, and they have it now. So that's been a big part of it. Their bullpen has come back together. They blew a lot of games early in the year. Their bullpen was just sort of discombobulated, like they couldn't get the right mix of guys. They were going on the road and losing. Now they're just winning everywhere. They win on the road. They win at home. They look great. Starters have established themselves. You can just tell the attitude, the way they talk about each other. They are playing for each other. I don't see anybody going out there on their own trying to pick up stats. They just want to win ball games. It's actually neat to see.
It's pretty awesome. I'm glad that nobody told them they weren't supposed to be good.
I think
they're young.
I think they heard it.
Yeah, they probably
and it actually fueled them.
I think they saw it from the stands when they realized not many people were coming to the games. But thankfully, you're saying, Tom, that's turned around.
It absolutely has turned around. I mean, I was at the game Saturday. That place was rocking. Sunday, when Nolan Arenado went crashing into the seats, and I'm telling you, folks, watch this guy play. Arenado is a Hall of Famer. He's going to go into Cooperstown. and this is his town right now. And he loves playing in St. Louis. He wants to win, and he stayed. They tried to trade him, actually, and he rejected the trade to Houston. He stayed in St. Louis. He goes crashing into the seats on Sunday. In between two seats, they have those hard little separators, those little armrests, and it went right into his back.
Ooh.
He goes down for the count. He was down for a few minutes, gets up. Ollie Marmol goes up to him and is like, "Are you all right? What do you want to do?" And he's like, I'm staying in this game. And the crowd noticed it, got up, roared, huge ovation. And he stays in the game. They win the game after he makes this amazing catch into the seats, goes tumbling into the first row. That's a guy right there who's been told that he's washed up and, his career is done. People don't think Arenado can do what he used to do. He may well go out and win a Gold Glove. He's motivated to deliver at the plate, had a big home run the other night. I mean, I think this team has an attitude about it. They've heard the critics, and they are responding. And I think the more that you tell them they can't do it, the more it fuels them. I think it's fun. I compare them to, for those of you who follow baseball closely, last year the Detroit Tigers were considered to be sort of a young team that, would try to figure it out, and let's see these young guys play. They end up becoming buyers at the trade deadline and a playoff caliber team. And now look at them this year. Detroit's one of the best teams in all of baseball this year. That's what this Cardinals team reminds me of. They just found a way. They hit another gear, and it's impressive.
That's good. So I'm interested to get your take on this. We experienced it ourselves here over the last few years. Before the Rams left, the city was looking at ways it could spend money on a new stadium or whatever upgrades to keep them and all this stuff. Now we got the Royals and the Chiefs. That special session gets called Monday. I'm going to have a guy on, Jeremy Cady, used to be with Americans for Prosperity, and he's written a pretty strong op-ed against this idea of spending taxpayer dollars on keeping this team from hopping the river out there into Kansas. How do you feel about that, Tom?
Well, look, I am St. Louis first. I'll be selfish here and say that anything that I want to happen to St. Louis. And I'm very high on this amateur sports tax credit that we need here in St. Louis, because we have to be able to draw sporting events to keep our economy humming. And the St. Louis Sports Commission, for example, does an amazing job of drawing in NCAA tournament. We're going to have the NCAA basketball tournament here. We just had, we have wrestling, we have gymnastics that come to town. We have hockey events left and right. We just had the Frozen Four. We're going to have the U.S. Figure Skating Championships. These events draw in thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And so if I'm asking the Missouri legislature to do something, I'm concentrating on that. But if they're going to do it, if you're going to do anything in Missouri, you have to understand as a St. Louisan that you got to give Kansas City something, and Kansas City in turn, is going to have to understand that you got to give. So what I'm saying is you have to be patient here and understand that both cities are going to have to receive help. And, Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe is a St. Louisan and in his heart, but he understands the importance too of keeping those teams in Kansas City, in the state of Missouri, and making sure that Missouri thrives from sports revenue. So it's got, it's a complicated issue over there. I get that. Right. But it's something to definitely pay attention to. The Royals, I don't think, are bluffing. I think the Royals will go to Kansas if they get a sweetheart of a deal. I think the Chiefs one is interesting. They've been at Arrowhead forever. The Royals have been next door forever. It's something absolutely important to the state. I mean, I am for both cities getting as much help as possible to keep Missouri going strong.
So you see some leverage there for what St. Louis needs if Kansas City's allowed to get what they want.
That's what I'm saying is I think that, I think
they have some leverage in the special session.
I do.
Interesting.
So, look, the NFL isn't coming back to St. Louis. We don't want to deal with the NFL, and the NFL doesn't want to deal with us. The only way that would ever happen is if some billionaire owner could pay for everything and tell St. Louis that they're never leaving. Right now what we have to build on is Cardinals, Blues, Battlehawks, City, college sports like crazy, amateur sports events, and the convenience of having everything in downtown St. Louis. But we need the help. We need the help. The amateur sports tax credit is a big part of this thing. But for that to happen, I think the governor is probably going to have to give Kansas City a little bit of that too.
Do you have another minute, or do you have to run?
I do have to go do a sportscast, but
Right.
what else?
Well, I was just going to ask
yeah.
about St. Louis City SC. If you
Fired their
Olaf,
coach,
yeah.
justified, needed to do it, need to move on, but they really need to look deep inside the organization.
You don't think
It's
it'll be
not
David
just-
Critchley, do you?
Well, he's going to have it
interim,
for now,
you
but
don't
they're
think
going
he'll
to
be-
search for now. They'll search for somebody else,
Different
but they
guys.
got to look for how are they getting players? What are they spending their money on?
Mm-hmm.
And they got to look at how other teams are successful. This is more than just the coach.
Tom, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We
See you, Tom.
appreciate it.
See ya.
Yep, thank you. Good to get your thoughts on that. We are going to talk to Jeremy Cady coming up about 7:20, just after Tom Homan is on the air, because he's written a piece very critical of taxpayer money going to these professional sports franchises, and he kind of did the math on what he said that what you get back in return. Like we covered this story for years when I was a TV reporter. Well, they went to the Super Bowl. They brought all these people come to downtown. They spend money. It has a huge economic impact. But in the overall scope of things, according to Jeremy's math, that's not true. And I think it's a feel-good story, but do Missouri taxpayers need to be on the hook for that? It's like a TIF. It's almost like tax increment financing. I guess that's effectively what it is, because they're going to let them keep whatever sales revenue that they generate, tax revenue, I should say, at that new stadium for 30 years. Like they just get to keep all of it. None of it has to go back to the state. Well, whatever economic impact it might have had locally, you're not feeling that in Kansas City if all that tax money is not coming back to local municipalities at all or to the state. They're just getting to keep it. I don't know. I see Jeremy's logic in that, and I'll be interested to hear what he has to say coming up here at about 7:22. We're going to get to in other news here in just a couple of minutes. We got Tom Homan, the border czar, the other Tom, joining us live at the top of the hour. We'll be back.
The Marc Cox Morning Show on 97.1 FM Talk. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Good morning to you. Well, we've got a stall eastbound 70 past Salisbury, and they're blocking the right lane. There are some flashing lights on the scene. I think it's mainly MoDOT at this hour, but it's not creating any kind of huge jam behind it. We've got northbound 55 slowing around Bayless in the construction zone there, and northbound 270, some moderate volume at 21. Now, on the Illinois side, we already have a slowdown. Eastbound 5564 on the Poplar Street Bridge. We've got a couple of lanes down for emergency bridge deck repairs from the Poplar to Broadway in East St. Louis, and it's already causing a delay. Also, Route 3 northbound is really slow, headed for the bridge because of that road work as well. And if you're headed in from Illinois, some volume westbound 5564 at the split. And we also have some volume on 44 eastbound underneath the Poplar. It's just one of those mornings. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Brought to you by your local Lennox Premier dealer, Scott Lee Heating. Make sure your home's heating and cooling system is being cared for by your local Lennox Premier dealer, Scott Lee Heating. Special savings opportunities and federal tax credits are available, so call 314-756-9444 or visit online at scottleeheating.com.
All right, listen to part of this 5-star review that someone just left for Lakeside Renovation and Design. It was actually just a week ago that this person wrote. It was Jeremy, and he said, Lakeside did a great job putting in a covered screened-in deck. They were a well-oiled machine, and the quality of work was top-notch. Now, I don't want to read you all of the review because it was actually quite a long review, just glowing review about Lakeside, but also talked about how he had an additional question and he was able to call up Lakeside, and the crew was more than happy to help him and answer all of his questions. And he says he thinks it saved him money ultimately instead of having to hire somebody else to come out and look at that. Lakeside was just happy to take care of it. They go above and beyond for you. I mean, that's the kind of service that you get when you partner with Lakeside Renovation and Design. So that's why I'm not surprised at all that Lakeside has so many 5-star reviews like Jeremy's, A+ rating from the BBB. Lakeside is the kind of company that genuinely cares about getting the job done right, whether that would be redoing a kitchen or you've been dreaming of this spa-like bathroom. You've wanted to finish your basement. That's something I would love to do. You need new windows. You notice that they're jamming when you tried to open them on these nice days or cracked in some cases. Maybe you need new siding. Lakeside basically does it all, so they can be your go-to for pretty much any project, whether it's on the inside or the outside of your home. What I really love about Lakeside is that the crew's in-house, meaning they're not outsourcing. They know every single person who's coming to your home to work on one of these projects. Yes, they are one of the largest remodeling companies in St. Louis, so they have a pretty big staff, but at the end of the day, they're family-owned, and they're going to treat you that way. I know the family behind this company. They're fantastic. So give Lakeside a call today, even if you're not ready to pull the trigger and actually start one of these projects. Again, they're more than happy just to answer any of your questions. 636-978-5000 is the number for Lakeside, or you can check them out online and even see some examples of their work, either on their Facebook or Instagram, or their website is lakesiderd.com.
We've been here 30 years. 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
Just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Progressive can help you protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. And if something wasn't mentioned that you had in mind, find out if it can be covered at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. Because it probably can be.
The Annie Fry Show.
They're all hypocrites, and you need someone to come out and insult the idea of wokeism. You need someone like Donald Trump to call it crap, because crap is what it is.
The Annie Fry Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.1 FM Talk. Working hard to pay for everyone else's entitlements. This is the Marc Cox Morning Show.
What's happening?
Go, you know the thing.
What the hell is going on?
In other news.
I absolutely love this story. Not that I don't love why it happened, but I love this story. So we've talked about Caitlin Clark and the Caitlin Clark effect. WNBA tickets have prices and sales have gone through the roof for any game she's playing in. It was the same when she played in college. There was high demand for games she played in. The demand dropped precipitously when she wasn't playing in them. Now she's been injured, right? She's got a lower quad strain, and she's out for at least 4 weeks, if I read this correctly. And she's going to be sidelined. No, I take that back. She's going to be sidelined at least 2 weeks, and she's going to miss 4 games. The average price for those tickets has plummeted. So the tickets to see her were going for on average $137. That ticket price has dropped to $80. Here's the other problem. It's not just the home games. When they travel, they were going to go to Washington and Chicago. They had to move the games to bigger venues because of the demand, because Caitlin Clark was going to be there, but now she's not going to be there. So all those people that bought tickets to these bigger venues, those tickets have dropped from $41, and you can now get in for $14 because she's not going to be there.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing.
They can't deny her impact.
I love it.
on
No,
the
they
game.
will,
It's
Mark.
great.
They will
They'll
deny
try.
it.
Yeah.
They'll say it's some other reason that caused that. Well, this is just interesting. So the Cardinals mascot, Fred Bird, was just voted among the sexiest mascots. It's called like Bet Us, Bet US. I don't know. Some site for online betting had released a poll that ranked MLB mascots on how attractive they are. So it based it on the following criteria: personality, confidence, presence. And we're not talking about the person behind the mask, because obviously you don't see that. We're talking about the actual mascot itself. The MLB has over 27 active mascots. Fred Bird came in number 12. And in case you're curious, the Diamondbacks mascot Baxter was rated as the number 1 sexiest MLB mascot.
Do we have to have a sexy mascot? Why is that a thing? I don't understand that at all.
Could be just coolest mascot, the most fun mascot. Why does it have to go sexy?
Why do we have? None of them is thin.
It's good news for those of us with big beaks.
He's got like a dad bod then, I guess. Right?
You.
That's in.
Exactly.
It's just so bizarre. Okay. All right.
All right. You've heard of Florida Man. Dana Lash used to do a segment called Florida Man.
Yeah.
This is the strangest story. This Florida man, who was clearly on meth or something, was seen swimming in an alligator-infested pond. He got attacked by an alligator. They called police. Police arrived on the scene. The guy made it out of the pond with blood dripping down his arm, picked up a pair of pruning shears, and charged at the police. Well, they tased him. Didn't do any good. He got up, tried to get in the police car to get to a gun, at which point police finally had to shoot him. After he survived the alligator attack, he got shot to death by cops. He'd just gotten out of prison. I mean, maybe only in Florida.
That is the most Florida story I've ever heard.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah,
seriously.
Don't do drugs,
Stay off drugs,
stay away.
kids. Dare can use that as one of their examples for kids when they go to school. Some of this new technology that they're coming out with starts to really freak me out. Even though it's really cool what it can do, it scares me. So Apple's new AI glasses, they're saying, will be able to translate any language in real time.
Really?
Google's glasses, I guess, can do the same thing. I mean, they can answer. So, for example, the glasses can take phone calls. They can do music playback. They can offer you directions. And then now they're saying it'll be able to translate any language. So I guess you go to a foreign country and maybe the translators will be obsolete because you just put one of these smart glasses on when they're available next year. And
does it do it both ways?
Well, I guess I would think you could. I don't know how you would set that up if there's like an app on your phone where you would put like, hey, I need English to French or French to English. But certainly you'd have to have some ability to. Yeah, I would think that you could go back and forth.
You can use Google Translate, but it's really awkward because there's a big
slow,
pause. That's a great idea.
Well,
I love that.
Having it in your glasses, I don't think will eliminate the pause. I mean, think about when you're looking for an address, I have to turn down the radio to pay attention to what's happening.
It's so true.
What I'm hearing here is that it interprets it in real time, though. If you have the glasses on, the guy's talking to you.
And where do you see it in text?
I guess you read it text.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. That's
Someone
wild.
buy the glasses and tell us.
All right, we're out of time. We'll be back in a minute. Tom Homan coming up.
Retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, healthcare, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsley. When you're the victim of a serious car accident, not choosing the best lawyer will cost you. It costs you time, it costs you money, settling too quickly with the insurance company. But here's the good news. Since you don't pay unless we win, you can afford the very best, and that's Kaufman Townsley. Call 314-500-5000 for a no-charge conversation. It costs you nothing to call, but may cost you everything if you don't. Call 314-500-5000.
Cardinals fans, there are more ways this season to watch your Cardinals on FanDuel Sports Network. For the first time, you can subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals without blackouts. Monthly, seasonal, and annual packages available. Also new this season, you can stream FanDuel Sports Network through Amazon Prime Video with an add-on subscription. As always, you can watch FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit Cardinals.com/TV to learn more.
We
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
The judicial coup is out of control. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what one White House advisor says after a court ruling blocked many of President Trump's tariffs, putting a cloud over the many trade negotiations they led to. The administration vows to appeal.
At least 7 lawsuits challenge the president's tariffs, which were imposed on nearly 60 countries. The president introduced those tariffs after declaring a national emergency for the U.S. trade deficit. Now, a 3-judge panel at the New York-based Court of International Trade has ruled the president can impose those tariffs. They said he overstepped his authority under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Congress normally sets tariff policy.
That's Fox's Jill Nato. The ruling does not affect tariffs still in place on aluminum, steel, and foreign cars and auto parts. Elon Musk is finished at Doge. His time as a special federal employee is over.
I think the American people ought to be saying to Elon, thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's Republican Senator Ted Cruz on Fox praising Musk for leading the Department of Government Efficiency, cutting wasteful spending. The Democrats challenged in court. They say Musk was an out-of-control billionaire. President Trump's letting more convicts off the hook. Fox's Mark Meredith reports.
In recent days, he's issued more than 24 pardons or commutations, including Todd and Julie Chrisley, 2 reality TV stars who until a few hours ago were in federal prison. The Chrisleys were sentenced in 2022 for conspiracy to defraud multiple banks, all in an effort to secure millions of dollars in personal loans. Todd was sentenced to 12 years, Julie 7.
The president called the treatment the Chrisleys got harsh. He also pardoned former Congressman Grimm, a fraud convict, and ex-Connecticut Governor John Rowland, convicted of corruption. Harvard University's fight against the Trump administration returns to court today, challenging the attempt to block Harvard from enrolling new international students, as the U.S. plans to revoke visas of some Chinese students studying in the U.S. America's listening to Fox News.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in experience and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
Good Thursday morning to you. I'm Kim St. for 97.1 FM Talk. 56 degrees now at 7:03. One person was killed after a home exploded in Florissant. Police were called to the home there on Trinity Lane near Graham Road yesterday evening around 5 o'clock. The home next door was also badly damaged from the explosion. Investigators at this point still trying to figure out what happened. A puppy is recovering after overdosing on opioids. The owner is now facing charges. A medic at BJC Hospital was thankfully able to treat the dog with Narcan Monday. St. Louis police say the puppy's owner, 35-year-old Ashley Harris, was at the emergency room for an undisclosed matter and had her puppy with her that was unresponsive. Harris is now charged with animal abuse and resisting or interfering with arrest. The Missouri National Guard is officially on the ground here in St. Louis, trying to help residents who were impacted by the deadly tornado. The Guard is specifically preparing to open 4 different debris drop-off sites, and now those will be throughout North City starting today. Initially, the plan was to keep the sites open for 2 weeks, though that time frame could be extended. 7:04 is our time, 56 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. In sports, the Cardinals beat the Orioles 6-4 yesterday, taking the series. Cards will face the Rangers tomorrow night. Search is on for St. Louis City's new head coach after Olaf Melberg was fired. Interim head coach is David Critchley. He's been managing City 2, which is the reserve team for City SC. Speaking of City, next match coming up Saturday, and then Battlehawks play tomorrow. Coming up on 7:05, temperature here downtown at the Arch, 56 degrees. You are listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've already got delays if you are headed into Illinois. We've got emergency bridge deck repairs eastbound 5564 on the Poplar Street Bridge to Broadway in East St. Louis. And they've closed the main line lanes, and that's created a jam already back onto the Missouri side. Also, a parking lot is northbound Route 3 at Monsanto Avenue this morning. And there's some westbound slowdowns. It's mainly moderate, but 5564 headed for the Poplar Street Bridge. Other than that, we actually look pretty good. Now, if you're eastbound on 64, there's some moderate volume that kind of comes and goes at the Boone Bridge. But for the most part, we are in great shape. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Gloomy skies on this Thursday, an impulse of energy coming by. Expect rain showers today. Couple of rumbles of thunder, but this is not a strong or severe thunderstorm setup at all. 70 for the high. A lot of the day in the 60s. Tonight, clouds and showers, 57. Friday, sunny. Beautiful afternoon, 75. Warm it up for the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, sunshine, 84 each day. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
We're at 56 degrees now at 7:06. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show on 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere. Just download the free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
I want to compliment your show on how fair and level-headed everything you guys talk about.
Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
Maybe what we need from a conservative standpoint is
the Marc Cox Morning Show.
I respect that we don't agree.
Listen to both sides.
This,
let's get it on,
is the Marc Cox Morning Show.
We have the most secure border in the history of this nation, and the data proves it. The data proves it.
Yeah, that is Tom Homan. He is the border czar for President Trump, and we are awaiting his phone call here in a couple of minutes. We're going to get him on. I've got he's dialing in right now to talk more about what's going on at the southern border, what we've been able to accomplish, maybe what is in this big, beautiful bill, if we can get it past the Senate, that would, of course, continue to secure our southern and northern borders, for that matter, and make us all more safe if we're not having fentanyl and all that stuff coming over the borders. In fact, let me get to Tom Homan right now. Mr. Homan, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Doing fine. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Great to have you on this morning. We've got a lot of serious issues in this country, but I got to tell you, you guys have absolutely straightened out this problem at the southern border in what's got to be record time.
Well, yeah, we had the border down, decreased over 90%, and I believe just over 7 weeks. Now, President Trump was able to accomplish in 7 weeks what Joe Biden couldn't or wouldn't do in 4 years. So it was even faster at my record. I mean, I told the president in the beginning maybe 120 days, but we beat that. It was just fast.
Yeah, it's true. What's at stake here? There's lots of political opinions on whether the big beautiful bill cuts enough or doesn't cut enough, and I know there are debates going on in the Senate right now over that very issue. But what's at stake here when it comes to border security?
Well, look, we made great strides in border security. We got to make those strides permanent. We still got a lot more work to do. I mean, the southern border, we're down about 95% right now, but we still need, we got a lot of DOD, thousands of DOD soldiers down there to fill in the blanks in the zones we can't cover. So, look, we need to hire more border patrol agents. That's in the bill. We have more technology and more border wall. Look, every place that built a border barrier, illegal migration is decreased and illegal drug flow decreased. That's what we're all about. And the technology alone that goes in that wall is a smart wall. So when Joe Biden came in office, not only did he stop building the wall, he didn't finish the technology within that wall that was notifies when someone approaches that wall, climbs the wall, goes under the wall. It also provided communications between border patrol agents because there's certain areas in the border where agents can't talk to one another because there's no repeater tower and it's just so isolated there. So, and it's also going to add technology to the port of entries to speed up, legal trade and still try to catch the contraband coming across. Not even speak about the northern border where we have a lack of resources, a great lack of technology. The northern border is down about 87%. We need to get that down to match the southern border, but we got less resources out there. We got to put more boots on the ground. We need a lot more technology on the northern border. So when it comes to the border, we still have a lot of work to do. We made great strides, but we want to make these successes permanent. We need funding to do it.
Well, I know the Trump administration has been offering these illegals money to essentially self-deport, which I think is smart. I believe there was the first flight out. There were some 64 or so people who agreed to self-deport. How many more have gone, or have there been more illegals who have agreed to self-deport?
Yeah, I looked at the numbers yesterday. We got just under 8,000 has already signed up for removal. We of course need more than that, so we got to keep sending the messages out, especially in the Spanish language stations.
Yeah.
Well, we got about 8,000 now, but our deportations have ramped up. We add a lot more teams to them, so we can keep sending the message. If we have to find you and deport you, you're going to have a bar from coming back to this country under an illegal program. So leave on your own. Give yourself an opportunity to come under a legal program and give yourself some opportunities, because if we have to find you and formally deport you, there aren't going to be no opportunity.
Yeah. Tom Homan, our guest, President Trump's border czar. What have you had any more interaction with some of these members of Congress who seem to think they can show up and disrupt, ICE detention facilities with no repercussions whatsoever? I know at least one of them is facing charges right now, correct?
Right. And I think we send a strong message. Like, you can protest all you want. You can, work against ICE. You can not, support ICE. You can hate on President Trump's immigration policy, but you can't cross the line. You can't cross the line of impediment. You can't cross the line of knowingly harboring, concealing an alien, which is a felony. You certainly can't criminal trespass, and for God's sakes, you can't put hands on an ICE officer. So you can protest all you want, but if you cross that line, we will seek prosecution through Pam Bondi's office.
A number of the leftist federal judges have tried to make it very difficult for you to do the job that you were brought in to do, which is deport illegal aliens. How big of a challenge has that been? Is it just extra, kind of a headache for you guys, or does this truly pose a challenge for you guys trying to get these people out of our country?
It's a huge challenge, and it's posing a national security threat. I mean, we are focusing on public safety threats and national security threats. It seems like every other day you got some district court judge, and I use the word district court judge, issuing nationwide injunctions, which we don't think he has the authority to do. And we're asking the Supreme Court to address that as soon as possible, because there are a lot of bad deals. Look, right now today, there's just a little over 600,000 illegal aliens in this country who are public safety, who have criminal convictions, walking the streets of this country. We need to find them and quickly remove them. But it seems like every other day we got some district court judge want to change what we've been doing for decades. So yeah, I hope the Supreme Court hears this quickly because they're putting speed bumps everywhere. We're not giving up. We're going to keep going out there. We're going to arrest them and put them in detention, and we'll get them off the street. But we need to be removed from this country. And most of the district court judges who are issuing nationwide injunctions have to do with the actual removal of these people from the United States. No one cared about the legal process when 10.5 million came to the border illegally. No one cared about the legal process then, but now we're trying to deport them after federal judges ordered them removed, a federal immigration judge. All of a sudden now, everybody's paying attention to, the legal process, a new process, when they simply ignored it in the beginning of the crisis under Joe Biden. It's just ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. Tom Homan, our guest, of course, Border Czar, trying to protect our children and our borders from the illegals and the drugs that have been coming over. Sir, I have to ask, they say when you're taking fire, you're over the target. You're being attacked in headlines this morning for the fact that as a private individual, you did some consulting work, and now they're trying to claim there's some conflict of interest with one of these companies.
What they're not saying is it's our response to that newspaper. Shame on them, the Washington Post, because we gave a response to them. Of course, they include it. I did have my own company. I had a lot of clients. But by law, when you come back into the White House or in the administration, you got to recuse yourself from any discussions with these companies, any discussions on contracts, anything to do with these companies. But I want to step further. I went to the White House and I said, no, I want to recuse myself from these companies used to be clients. But I'm going to go a step further. I'm recused myself from any discussion of any contract whatsoever. So in my position as Border Czar, I do not have discussions about contracts. I don't get involved with the negotiation of contracts. I don't have anything to do with award of contracts. I'm completely removed myself from the entire process. But they didn't report that. Well, they didn't report that I was successful in my own company, and I took an 80% pay cut to come back and serve my country. How many of these reporters would do that? So when I come back to serve my nation, took a huge pay cut for me and my family to do the right thing for this country. And I'll say it again. In this position I have nothing, zero to do with any contracts whatsoever. Not just the companies I work for or worked with, but all contracts to do with the federal government. Of course, they failed to report that because we're dishonest media.
Well, I don't think you can hate the media enough. I just have to make that observation. Tom Homan, thanks for all you're doing for our country right now, sir. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Take care of yourself. Our Border Czar, Tom Homan there, and never one to back down from a fight. If you Google Tom Homan's name right now, the top 10 articles you bring up are from MSNBC, the Washington Post, Axios, all these hard left organizations with these headlines suggesting that he's somehow profiting from, because as a private individual, he did consulting, and now some of the same companies he consulted for are getting government contracts to deal with illegal aliens who are being deported or detained. Well, if you're in the immigration consulting business, how would that not be the case? And he's completely recused himself from any of those negotiations. It's just more noise. You can't hate the mainstream media in this country enough that they make suggestions and try to impugn his character just because they don't like his border policies.
Yeah, won't it be interesting once Trump's no longer president if they have this much hatred toward another conservative candidate?
Yeah.
It's hard to compete with the hate they have for Donald Trump. Truly. I mean, it's unlike anything I've ever seen before.
It is.
And I used to be among them who, but I remember covering Trump events and, everyone would turn to us and scream at us and say fake news.
Yeah.
And that used to really bother me. And it's funny because now being on the other side of it where I'm like, they are fake news. They do tell only one side.
Look at the headline this morning. Google Elon Musk. The headlines are Elon Musk turns away from Donald Trump's administration after being critical of the big, beautiful bill. Well, actually, what Elon Musk said was, my job here is done. It was always a limited amount of time. We've had a great impact. Mr. President, thank you for letting us serve your country. A completely different story if you read his quote versus what the headlines are about what's happened today. So, hopefully people have learned that lesson if they've learned nothing else from listening to this program. All right, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we've gotten Jeremy Cady to move to 7:35 because I want to have a little more time with him. He's done an in-depth look at the impact sports stadiums have on a local economy, sporting events. It's not what you might think. It's not the big impact that you might have been led to believe. And right now they're debating more subsidies. We're going to get to all that and more for you at 7:35. Stay tuned.
Catch anything you missed today by getting your show podcast at 971talk.com. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
MoDOT still with a stall eastbound 70 near Salisbury in the right lane this morning. Most of the volume we have is eastbound on the Poplar Street Bridge, where we've got road work and lanes down. Also on the Illinois side, northbound Route 3, an accident reported near Monsanto Avenue and a parking lot jam behind it. Northbound 55 slowing around Bayless this morning, and northbound 270 some moderate volume around Doherty Ferry. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Now, as far as saving for retirement goes, most of us have done that, right? You've put aside some money, you've been really good about it, or maybe not. But then you get close to the end of the line, almost to where you need to retire, and you think, wait a minute, is this enough? And do I have a plan? And how am I going to navigate everything? I should have more information. That's why there is a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101 that I think is such a good idea. And it's put on by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects. This is what they do. They are financial planners. And they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis to teach you some of this stuff. Here's an idea about reducing your taxes. Here's an idea about maximizing your Social Security. So go ahead and make a reservation, and you might as well get educated. You have to register. Call 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012.
Summer savings are heating up at Ruler Foods from May 28th through June 10th. Stock up and save big. Red and white seedless grapes, just $1.69 a pound. Kroger 73% lean ground beef, only $3.33 a pound, sold in a 3-pound roll. Sweet 2-pound packs of delicious strawberries, just $3.49 each. And don't miss our mix and match hot deals, 2 for $5. Choose from Kroger 24-pack water, Kroger frozen potatoes, 19 to 32 ounces, or 12-count Kroger coffee pods. Ruler Foods, shop smart, spend less. Offers valid through June 10th.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
Nourishment for your mind. Marc Cox. Find everything Marc Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
Well, you know, it seems like every day, obviously, I'm glad we're doing the investigations. They're looking into the cocaine at the White House, which was pretty obviously a cover-up. What I'd love to see them look into is the leak at the Supreme Court that got covered up. The leak of the
abortion ruling
decision overturning Roe, because that was a cover-up too. There's only 70 people that work in the entire building. Finding out who leaked that was not impossible, but I'll guarantee you Justice Roberts didn't want the information getting out, because it would have directly implicated one of the 3 liberal justices or one of their staff members, and they wanted to tamp that down. So there's a bunch of stuff we need to find out about. The other things that are coming out right now are thanks to whistleblowers. I don't know if you saw this or not, Kim, but under the Biden administration, they snuck in some language. You know, they were all about relieving people of their responsibilities for loans. So they decided that there was a big problem in this country with farmers who had to take out loans and couldn't repay them. But the only farmers they were worried about were ones that weren't white. So they included language in the bill Here's part of the story. News Nation reported on this, and good for them for exposing this. Listen to this story.
Race-based loan forgiveness. It's in black and white, buried in the American Rescue Plan Act. The United States Secretary of Agriculture shall provide a payment in an amount up to 120% of the outstanding indebtedness of each socially disadvantaged farmer or rancher. The act explicitly lays out who's considered socially disadvantaged.
So just to be clear, if you were American Indian, Alaskan Native, Asian Black, African American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, Hispanic, or Latino, and you were in that group, you were told you didn't have to pay your bills, essentially?
Yes, that's correct. And that your loan would be forgiven up to 120% of the loan value. To me,
Wow.
This is so you can't be socially disadvantaged if you're white.
Correct.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
So they went out and they talked to a white farmer who, by the way, found out about this, and then he sued the Biden administration, believe it or not, and actually won. Listen.
James Dunlap owns a small family farm in Baker City, Oregon. He works 2 other jobs to keep his farm afloat, but did not qualify for the loan forgiveness because he's white.
I knew what they were saying was that minority farmers were going to have their loans forgiven for no reason other than they decided to, they being the government. So,
and how much money they had nothing to do with it.
as far as I understand, not at all. It wasn't about hardship. It wasn't about financial situations at all. It was purely what box you checked under that ethnicity line on your application.
If you checked a non-white box, you got the free money, no matter how rich you were.
And is that not amazing? So they've got this guy from the Department of Agriculture who's whistleblowing on this, because this guy, this farmer you just heard from there, James Dunlap, and a couple of other farmers took the Biden administration to court, and they won, and they X'd that out of the law. They're like, this is not constitutional. This is blatant racism. You can't get away with this. So, right, they won, and you'd think that was all to the story, correct? But remember, when the Biden administration was told by the Supreme Court that they couldn't just randomly excuse billions of dollars in student loans, they still tried to figure out a way to do it. And this whistleblower says they were doing it anyway behind the scenes. Listen.
Biden administration was not ready to give up. They passed the Inflation Reduction Act to help farmers who couldn't pay their loans. It was supposed to help all farmers, but News Nation has learned all farmers were not told about it. News Nation obtaining a copy of this email that was sent out to share information about new payments and or loan modifications that may assist you. But here's the catch. Our whistleblower says it was only sent to the minority farmers, aka the socially disadvantaged group. And he says USDA workers were even instructed to tell that group to stop paying their loans because they would still be forgiven. The whistleblower says none of the white farmers he works with received the email.
They got nothing. It might not meet the legal definition of fraud, but it isn't right. It was discriminatory, it was unethical, and the people who pushed it are still in charge of the agency.
That was the shocking part at the end. He said, another reason I'm blowing the whistle here is that Donald Trump needs to understand the same people that did this bit of trickery are still in charge. The Trump administration has not replaced them yet at the USDA. So in other words, he's basically ringing the bell saying, hey, look at us over here. You got a bunch of people entrenched in the bureaucracy who were clearly practicing discrimination based on race, and they're still in charge.
Mm-hmm. There was just so much corruption. It was probably too much for the Trump administration to come in so quickly and try to get rid of all these people.
Things you would never have heard of.
Stupidity. Did they just think that some of these farmers who did receive that email wouldn't talk to their white farmer friends and say, hey, psst, did you get the email? Why don't you apply for this?
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of blatant, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of blatantly stupid that they thought they could get away with it. But who knows? If Kamala Harris was president right now, you wouldn't hear about this story. This wouldn't be a story.
No, it would not.
It would still be going on. All right. Jeremy Cady's coming up. He used to be with Americans for Prosperity, and he's got some thoughts on stadium funding by taxpayers and what the actual economic return is, which isn't very much. We'll be back.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're gonna be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TRADE25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TRADE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TRADE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code TRADE25.
All right. If you're a fan of bourbon, as you know that I am, I want to talk to you a little bit about my friends at New Riff. New Riff has turned out some fantastic rye and bourbon right on the banks of the Ohio River up there in Covington, Kentucky. If you go to Cincinnati for any reason, make it a point to cross the river and see this distillery. It's unbelievable what they've done in a relatively short amount of time. Now, I say short, they've just released their own 8-year aged bourbon that is outstanding. If you can find a bottle of it, go to the store and get it. Of course, they've also got a great single barrel. Their rye is just about unmatched for the price point that you can get this for. And you can find New Riff, its distinctive bottle, on the shelf at most local liquor distributors that you might go to. If not, ask for it by name, but I know it's at Schnucks and Deerbergs and Macadoodles, and all of them carry it. Thanks to our friends at Lore Wine and Spirits. Get New Riff bourbon.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. 7:30 our time right now, 56 degrees. In the Metro East, a Fairview Heights police officer is making good progress in the hospital after she was shot in the face earlier this month. 5 officers were hurt on May 17th while responding to a call about a suspicious person. 3 of those officers were shot, and the suspect is in custody. Backstoppers and the Tyler Timmons Memorial Foundation are supporting the officers' families. St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer is trying to suspend a city ordinance that requires insurance companies to withhold part of an insurance claim payment from tornado victims. The ordinance specifically directs agents to hold up to 25% of the payment and instead give it to the city to deposit into an interest-bearing account. Spencer says she wants an exception made for natural disasters like this one, or to find some other solution so homeowners get the full payment. In sports, Cards beat the Orioles 6-4. They'll be facing the Rangers tomorrow. Search is on for St. Louis City's new head coach after Olaf Melberg was fired. Interim head coach David Critchley, he's managing City 2. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Yeah, we on the roads this morning don't look too bad, but we have an issue on the Illinois side. And that is emergency bridge deck repairs eastbound on the Poplar Street Bridge through about Broadway in East St. Louis. And they've got a couple of lanes down, and it's already created a jam back to the Missouri side. And then people on northbound 55 trying to ramp onto the bridge are jammed. And we've got an accident reported northbound Route 3 south of Monsanto Avenue, some slow-moving traffic there. And then we've got morning rush hour. And that means that westbound 64 is slowing at the 55-70 split and headed for the Poplar. Now, on the Missouri side, it's not that bad. Little bit slow northbound 55 right around Bayless in the work zone, and moderate volume in pockets along northbound 270 approaching 21 through Manchester. And eastbound 70 looks great. Forestell into downtown, 61 looks good. 64 a little off the pace at Lake St. Louis Boulevard and at Clarkson. But other than that, we're good, and that's not bad. This report brought to you by Siding Express. Transform your home with the beauty and durability of James Hardie Siding. At Siding Express, they do specialize in James Hardie siding installation. Visit sidingexpress.com today to schedule a free consultation. That's sidingexpress.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Boy, lots and lots of damage out there to roofs from that hail that hit a week and a half ago, and you really need to get your roof looked at. You don't know who to trust. I'm going to recommend my friend Curtis Correll at Correll Roofing. I have known Curtis for years. He's a great guy. He's somebody who's going to be honest with you. Went to my daughter's house. She doesn't live that far from me. I've got roof damage. She does not. He's honest about these things. That's why I'm telling you, this is the person to handle your roofing job. You can go to Correll Roofing Company on Facebook. Look for their Facebook page, or I'll give you Curtis's cell phone number, 314-222-9529. That's 314-222-9529. Call him up. Tell him you heard Marc Cox talking about him on the radio. He runs crews with over 20 years of experience. He's going to help you get all of the best in roofing, the architectural shingles, if that's what you want. If you're dealing with a metal roof, you want other luxury shingles, they can get it for you at Correll Roofing Company. Again, call Curtis today. Tell him you heard me talking about him. He's working on my roof. In fact, I meet with him this afternoon. 314-222-9529.
Here's the hard truth. Every 6 years, your dollar loses half its buying power. That means a $100,000 savings account today could feel like $50,000 by 2031. And you see it every time you fill up your tank, buy groceries, or pay the bills. Prices are up. Your dollar is down. But there's a simple way to protect the value of your savings with something real, something proven. Gold, an asset that holds its value over time. That's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to protect your savings with physical gold or silver. No high-pressure sales, no call centers, just honest guidance, one-on-one support, and transparent pricing. And right now, when you open a qualified account, Noble Gold will send you a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar as a thank you. Head to noblegoldinvestments.com today to learn more. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
It's not too late for a deep spring cleaning on your home. Give my friends at Zerorez a call today. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning package. Visit ZerorezSL.com and tell me what the Mark Reardon special, or call 314-474-2020.
In the know. The Marc Cox Morning Show. The Marc Cox Morning Show, on the air and streaming at 971talk.com.
It's getting to the point where I'm no fun anymore. I am sorry.
You know, a year ago, I was begging for a special session to focus on initiative petition reform. But things like that don't seem to be at the top of the list for our legislature, unfortunately, because they're important. They would help us avoid having things crammed into the Missouri Constitution that shouldn't be there, like abortion on demand up until birth, and, you know, marijuana dispensaries on every street corner in Missouri, because that's not a problem. But instead, we focus on the really important things, like spending taxpayer dollars to finance professional sports stadiums. I got Jeremy Cady on the line, and I've known Jeremy a long time. He used to be with Americans for Prosperity. Jeremy, welcome back. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So what all are you doing these days?
Right now, I am a private consultant. I work on a lot of the same issues that I worked on before, help some great candidates get into office as well. But basically, I get paid to help taxpayers and to save you money.
Yeah, which this bill probably isn't going to do. Now, if I understand this correctly, what they're proposing here, what the governor's pushing for, what the Royals and the Chiefs want, is basically tax increment financing, right? They want to be able to keep all of the tax they generate at these stadiums in order to help pay for the cost of a new stadium in one case and renovations in the other case.
Absolutely. All told, it looks like they're looking at about $1.5 billion worth of total funding coming from government, coming from taxpayers to the stadium projects. That's roughly, I think it's over 30 years, so that's about $50 million a year. Right now, I believe we're paying out about $500 to $550 $50 million a year on current tax credits. That that includes the low-income housing, historic, and all the others that are there right now. So this adds approximately another 10% to the total tax dollars going out to private entities across the state. A huge amount, and it's to fund billionaires, individuals that could probably fund these projects all on their own.
How would this impact the average taxpayer? Because I think the argument that I've heard is, well, it's not like we're actually paying an additional tax to support these stadiums. But my understanding of it is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, would be that this is money, tax dollars that could be allocated elsewhere where it's needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big one that a lot of people often talk about is education. We need to spend more money on education, this, that, and the other. Well, guess what? This takes $1.5 billion out of the coffers that could be going to schools.
Sure.
These funds could be going to roads. They could be going to tax relief. I actually just saw a statement from the Missouri Freedom Caucus this morning advocating against the stadium funding and saying, hey, if we're going to have this discussion in a special session, we need to look at broad-based tax relief as well. So if we can afford to give $1.5 billion to a couple of billionaires, I would agree that we can afford to cut taxes for all Missourians by $1.5 billion as well.
We had Adam Schnelting on, the senator from the 23rd this week, and he seemed to suggest the same thing, that if we're going to sit down and consider this tax break for the multimillionaires who own these sports franchises, there better be some tax relief for Missourians in there as well. So I think I can kind of see the direction that they're moving there in these negotiations over this. Jeremy, what's it really look like on paper, though? I mean, as a reporter, I used to cover the story when the Rams were in town or the Cardinals having a World Series run, of all the extra money it's bringing in and generating for the local revenue. What's the real number there?
So a lot of the discussion is usually focused on what are the positives for bringing in a team and why we need to use these tax subsidies to get teams into these cities. But there's been a number of studies over the past several years, Mercatus, Cato Institute, that basically show that they only benefit the team owners, the people that actually own the teams. They don't necessarily benefit the local community or the state with the tax revenues that are brought in. And again, it displaces some of the investment that could be made in schools, roads, or even tax relief as well. I believe the Cato Institute, whenever they looked at it, they looked at about $14.7 billion worth of subsidies, and they found that it benefits no one but team owners and players. That's it, not taxpayers at all.
Yeah, the numbers that in your article are pretty stunning. They're at jeremycady.com. It looked to me like, when you compare it to the total GDP output for Kansas City, for example, what the Royals and the Chiefs combined brought in was about 0.5% of the local GDP.
No, absolutely. And that's part of a newer conversation. The reason why I wrote that piece is because I had a piece that I put out on Friday, and it was trying to say, hey, the positives that we keep getting sold about what these do for cities and municipalities and the states aren't there. But I got feedback from some of the Republican caucus members in the legislature that said, hey, right now the conversation is actually about what losses are we going to have if these teams move out of the state? What are the negative impacts? And so that's why I went through and I reviewed some of that. And again, we're treating these teams like they're huge, gigantic companies that if they leave are going to completely eliminate the workforce in the cities. But the reality is both the Chiefs and the Royals together make up less than 0.5% of the total GDP of Kansas City. The Kansas City can definitely move on without them. Total employees from both of them, I think Kansas City Royals had, whenever I checked, about 900 employees. The Kansas City Chiefs had nearly 800 employees. And funny enough, I was actually in a conversation with an employee from the teams. They actually work the stands as one of the vendors. And they said, well, what the numbers don't actually show is some of us actually work both. We'll work.
Oh yeah.
We'll work at the Chiefs Stadium during the NFL season, and then during the summer we're at the baseball stadium. So the actual total employment is probably less than that. And I was like, that is a great point. but they're small. They're actually a very small employer, according to the statistics. The other big thing that they're saying is, well, if it leaves, GDP is going to fall, unemployment's going to rise, tax revenues are going to go in. And what I did was I looked at a bunch of cities that have recently lost franchises. So I looked at Houston. The Oilers left for Tennessee. And it was hard to find the GDP numbers for Houston. I found some reports directly from the city of Houston that said their GDP was going up, but they didn't show an actual number. But it did show from the St. Louis Federal Reserve, they did have reports that showed that their unemployment dropped after they lost. Their general revenues from Houston went up, so their tax revenues went up. Now, I'm not saying that they went up, the revenues went up, or the unemployment went down because of the loss of the stadium and the team. But what I am saying is that it didn't have a negative impact.
Right.
And that was shown again in St. Louis whenever they lost the Rams. That was shown again in San Diego whenever the Chargers left. And that was shown again in Oakland whenever the Raiders left. And the funny thing that I find is we can see California actually had a great dichotomy in how different cities treated the issue. Whenever the Chargers were looking at leaving San Diego, they also said, oh, this is going to be horrible for us. All the jobs, all the revenue, we're going to lose millions of dollars into the economy. And nothing happened. But whenever the Raiders looked at leaving Oakland, there's quotes from the mayor and a bunch of economists and everything in the area there that said, does it really matter?
Jeremy, do you think they'll actually leave, or is this just an empty threat?
There's a lot of conversation around that. To be honest, I really don't know. I not in the inner workings of the office. I don't know what their plans are. Some of it could be an idle threat, like, hey, we're going to try to pick Kansas versus Missouri, see if we can get a sweetheart deal. I do know that some of them can't move immediately, even if they wanted to. And so you've got that there. But at the same time, though, I mean, I think they're trying to maximize their profit.
Sure,
I mean, that's what they're trying to do. But at the same time, you've got a point. This might just be an idle threat to force the legislator's hand to fund some of their stadium projects with our tax dollars.
Well, and from what I'm reading, it looks like maybe Cindy O'Laughlin, which would represent Senate leadership, Governor Kehoe, and I don't know if John Patterson's on board or not in the House, but they've got a couple of powerful allies down in Jeff City for sure.
They do. And again, like I said, the Freedom Caucus looks like they put out a statement this morning saying that right now they're opposing it. They want some broad-based tax relief in there as well. So that's a good sign. So I don't think this is going to be necessarily as easy as they think. You've got the Freedom Caucus kind of standing there saying, hey, this is wrong. You're going to have an odd situation where you come in and Democrats were just PQ'd just a couple of weeks ago, and they're still angry about that. You've got some heartburn from some of the budget folks of House Bill 19 going down. So there's a lot of different things at play right now. And, I was talking to a couple of individuals, and they're like, well, the governor would not have called this if they didn't have the whip count already. And I was like, I would be surprised. I was
going to say, is that true? Yeah, I don't know.
It's going to be harder than I think they're letting on right now.
All right. Well, Jeremy, Cady, we appreciate your time. People want to read that article. They can check out your website there, Jeremy Cady, Cady, at it's jeremycady.com, correct?
Correct, jeremycady.com, and I have both the recent one about how it's not as negative as people say, then also the one that I did on Friday about there's really no positive impact of bringing them in either.
All right, very good. Jeremy, thanks for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Have a great day. Food for thought there. Good conversation to have. I don't know where it's going to go in Jeff City, but we'll keep talking about it, keep you up to date on it once the special session starts next week. All right. What are we talking about on Kim on a Whim?
I'm a big homeschool advocate, but now there's this movement called unschooling that's really, really gaining momentum. And I have some concerns about that. I'll explain what it is and why I'm so concerned when we come back.
The Marc Cox Morning Show on 97.1 FM Talk. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a report of debris northbound 270 past Ladue Road. Watch for that in the right lane. And there's no word. They haven't said exactly what it is. Just be careful through there. And there were some signal problems westbound 44 on the ramp to Big Bend. But the worst of it has been downtown. We've got emergency bridge deck repairs today and tomorrow, and even yesterday. Eastbound 5564 on the Poplar Street Bridge through Broadway in East St. Louis, and they've got some lanes down, and it's created a jam headed for the bridge on 6440 and on northbound 55, which then backs up onto 44. And northbound Route 3 is jammed, headed for the bridge, and then we have the usual westbound volume as well. Now, northbound 55 on the Missouri side, slowing just north of Revis Barracks, headed into the construction zone. We've got moderate volume on northbound 270 in pockets. Gravois on up through, looks like 6440 now. Eastbound 70 looks great out west into downtown. 64 a little bit slow at Prospect, at Clarkson, and Big Bend. This report is brought to you by me. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
More rain is coming, and that's not good news if you got a basement that leaks. You know, my friend Matt Hayes over at Home Shield Foundation Repairs described it this way. If you have a basement, your home is basically built on an empty swimming pool, and water is trying to find its way in. Now, if you have a dry basement, say a little prayer and say thank you for that. But if you do have moisture in your basement, it's not that uncommon. Water will find its way in through cracks. Cracks happen when the foundation settles, and that happens a lot. Not all cracks leak, but some do. And if you're having that issue, you want to call somebody who's local, who runs his own company, who's a foundation specialist. That's my friend Matt Hayes, Home Shield Foundation Repairs. Let him come over. He's not there to upsell you. He's there to fix the problem. He will waterproof those cracks and give you a lifetime warranty. He can replace your sump pump or dig a sump pump pit for you if that's what you need to get rid of that hydrostatic pressure that brings water up under the foundation. Or he can fix bowing and leaning walls as well. He also gives you a lifetime warranty with that work. So you can't beat that. Local company, lifetime warranty, and then you've got a dry basement and you don't have to worry about it. Check out a video of all the great work they do right on their website and tell them Marc Cox sent you. Go to homeshieldfoundationrepairs.com.
Surprise! Surprise! You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
97.1 FM Talk is proud to partner with Guns N' Hoses to support St. Louis area tornado victims, and we need your help. This is Annie inviting you to bring supplies to Dave Munganast, St. Louis Honda, Monday through Saturday. Visit 971talk.com/relief.
Making radio great again. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Kim on a whim.
Look, I'm all about homeschooling. I think that's fantastic when you can do it. I have friends who do that, but there's some movement called unschooling that they're saying is kind of an offshoot of homeschooling that's really gaining momentum, specifically on social media. And I have some serious concerns about this. So if you've never heard of it, I had not until I read this article, but basically they're saying it is self-directed education. It's a form of homeschooling where it's based on activities and life experiences chosen by the child. So there's very little structure. There's a woman who was interviewed for this article, and she has younger children who are 5, 6, and 9. And she says that for most of the day, that might mean playing outside, drawing, practicing drums. There's no grades, there's no tests, no general structured curriculum. It's really letting the child kind of choose the best path.
Kind of
and
sounds
the way
like a
that I guess
dream.
and that's the thing that's
what if they choose their own gender while they're at it?
They're just very odd to me. So I understand that like when you homeschool, you might be able to get through all the curriculum in 2 to 3 hours that you would take 8 hours in school to get through. So I get, that there's a big benefit to having that time outside or letting them be creative. And that could include drawing, but just having no structure whatsoever and letting the kid choose. I mean, my kid eats dirt. I mean, my kid would that's crazy to me that you just let the kid dictate everything. Choices I get for kids are important, but not when it comes to this. In fact, I think children thrive on structure, and some of the biggest issues you see with kids are when parents are more worried about being their kid's friend than they are being a parent and a disciplinarian when needed. And the kids just think that they rule the world. And now we're seeing those children who were raised like that growing up, and the same habits. You probably work with some of them. I'm not saying here, but I'm just saying we've all had people we know who were like that. The world revolves around them.
Probably ate dirt as a kid. But I also got my butt blistered if I didn't get home in time for dinner, or not blistered is the wrong word. It's an old phrase. But you were disciplined if you didn't get home for dinner in time, or you stayed out after dark and mom and dad couldn't find you, or, I never got homeschooled. I would have to say that. But where are they doing this, Kim? I mean, because I can't imagine the state allowing that in some cases. I mean, if you have a kid that's of school age, you're expected to have them in school, or if you're homeschooling them, there's still a few guidelines, right?
There's guidelines, but it's not. In fact, what they're trying to do in Illinois is they're trying to put stricter regulations on the homeschoolers, and they're trying to pass a bill that would make the homeschool parents submit curriculum to the state, and they would then have a say in that.
J.B. Pritzker.
Exactly. And we can all imagine where that would go if they're trying to say that we're going to teach them that contradicts what the school would want to teach them, which is likely to be woke and all this nonsense you wouldn't want your kids being taught. These videos have these unschooling videos, as they're calling them. They have millions of views on social media. Now, I'm not a Kardashian fan, but supposedly,
Who?
The Kardashian family.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of them.
Can't really stand that family, but supposedly even Kourtney Kardashian was saying that she felt like sending kids to school felt really dated. Again, all about homeschooling. I've thought about homeschooling, or at least
afford to hire somebody to come in and tutor their children.
They'll unschool their kids.
Yeah. Unschool?
That's what they're calling it now. Unschooling. There has to be some line. There needs to be structure. I just refuse to believe that letting the kid pick exactly what they want to do is somehow, or doing that all the time is somehow good.
No, because they'd also want snacks all the time. I mean, you have to draw the line somewhere, but children, they're not emotionally or mentally capable of making their own decisions like that at that age.
Right.
They need guidance.
Right.
This is no guidance.
I agree.
We're just going to create a whole new Democrat Party.
It just goes back to where you're swinging the pendulum too far. Why can't we just have a normal amount of swinging the pendulum? Why do we always have to go too far to the other side? What's up with that?
It's a good question. All right. There are big decisions in D.C., right? An appellate court just said the president can't issue these tariffs, didn't have the right to do it. What does that all mean? Well, we happen to have the Supreme Court reporter and the host of Fox News Sunday, Shannon Bream, joining us at about 8:22. So we will pick her brain coming up.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
The International Institute of St. Louis invites you to try international cuisine support local immigrant-owned businesses, and more at their community bazaars. The bazaars are free and open to the public at the International Institute of St. Louis, located at 3401 Arsenal Street, and take place every other Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Learn more about the International Institute of St. Louis Community Bazaars at iistl.org/bazaar. Message supported by Together Credit Union.
Lifestyles Unlimited, the education and mentoring group with a roadmap and support to help you real estate retire.
Having the consulting team, having other avenues within your whole system is what's made y'all successful. Everyone is there to guide you to be successful. So it's just up to you to get off the butt and do it.
Do it. Take action today. Get educated now at Lifestyles Unlimited. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for $297, a 60% savings. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007.
Start your summer with a weekend showdown. Shohei Ohtani and the Los Angeles Dodgers roll into Busch Stadium June 6th through the 8th. Be there Friday for a cool new promo. The first ever Cardinals neck fan. Perfect for hot game days. Then on Sunday, young fans 15 and under take home a Rawlings Kids Glove. It's a weekend of big matchups and big giveaways. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Mason Wynn, St. Louis Cardinals for the Loop.
Catch a Cardinals game on your next date night or friends night out. Whether it's love in the stands or laughter with your crew, nothing beats ballpark vibes under the lights. Cold drinks, great eats, and Cardinals baseball. Check out Friday Night Live at Busch Stadium and enjoy happy hour price food and drinks all game long. Every Friday home game. Get your tickets today at cardinals.com and make memories that go beyond the scoreboard. Busch Stadium, where great nights begin.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Elon Musk is on his way out. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. His time is ending this week as the special federal employee leading the Department of Government Efficiency, which Democrats called unconstitutional and out of control, aiming to cut wasteful spending and fraud.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says that there is an immediate effort to codify DOGE cuts that have been led by Elon Musk, and it coincides with Musk's tenure in the government coming to a close. He thanked the president in a post that also added the DOGE mission will only strengthen over time as it becomes a way of life throughout the government.
That's Fox's Alexandria Hoff at the White House, where there's also reaction in the morning after a federal trade court blocked many new U.S. tariffs on imports from dozens of countries.
These activist judges are trying to slow down something right in the middle of really important negotiations.
The court ruled President Trump exceeded his authority imposing tariffs, citing a big trade deficit and fentanyl flowing into the U.S. as emergencies. Kevin Hassett, director of the White House Economic Council, also tells Fox Business.
The idea that the fentanyl crisis in America is not an emergency is so appalling to me that I'm sure that when we appeal, that this decision will be overturned.
We just got a revision on the economy showing the contraction instead of growth in the first quarter was a little less than first thought. The GDP decline was 0.2% instead of 0.3%. First-time unemployment claims rose last week up to 240,000, while the number of Americans continuing to collect jobless benefits rose to over 1.9 million, the most since November 2021. Some Chinese students will not be studying in the U.S. anymore. Their visas are going to be revoked.
This as Fox News Digital learned that Homeland Security is eliminating the student visa program at Harvard due to what it considers pro-terrorist conduct during campus protests.
As Fox's Carmen Roberts. Now, next hour, there is a hearing in Harvard's challenge to the Trump administration order to block the university from enrolling new international students. America's listening to Fox News.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in experience and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. Our time right now, 8:03, 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. One person was killed after a home exploded in Florissant. Police were called to the home on Trinity Lane near Graham Road yesterday evening around 5 o'clock. The home next door was also badly damaged from the explosion. Investigators at this point still trying to figure out what happened. A puppy is recovering after overdosing on opioids. The owner is now facing charges. A medic at BJC Hospital was thankfully able to treat the dog with Narcan Monday. St. Louis police say the puppy's owner, 35-year-old Ashley Harris, was at the emergency room for an undisclosed matter and had her puppy with her that was unresponsive. Harris is now charged with animal abuse and resisting or interfering with arrest. The Missouri National Guard is officially on the ground in St. Louis to help residents impacted by the deadly tornado. The Guard is specifically preparing to open 4 different debris drop-off sites throughout North City starting today. Initially, the plan was to keep the sites open for 2 weeks, though that time frame could be extended. 8:04, 56 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. In sports, the Cardinals beat the Orioles 6-4, taking the series. The Cardinals will face the Rangers tomorrow night. While the search is on for St. Louis City's new head coach after Olaf Melberg was fired, interim head coach is David Critchley. He has been managing City 2. That's why his name might sound familiar. That's the reserve team for City SC. Speaking of City, next match coming up Saturday, Battlehawks play tomorrow. 56 degrees now as we approach 8:05. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we've got some volume downtown, and this is due to emergency bridge deck repairs on eastbound 5570 from the Poplar Street Bridge to Broadway in East St. Louis. They've got the main line lanes down and will through tomorrow. So that's created a jam if you are headed for the Poplar Street Bridge on 55 northbound, on 44 or 64. On the Illinois side, it's caused a delay on northbound Route 3 headed for the bridge. Also some volume westbound in that area as well. Now, eastbound 64 this morning looks good out west. It's a little bit slow at Timberlake Manor and at the Intervale. 70 looks great from out west into downtown. 55 even is in good shape at this hour. And northbound 270, periodically some moderate volume between 44 and 6440. This report brought to you by New Perspective Senior Living. New Perspective Weldon Spring is redefining senior living. They've got modern apartments and delicious meals, entertainment, activities, even a state-of-the-art AI fall detection system. Visit npseniorliving.com to schedule a tour today. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Gloomy skies on this Thursday, an impulse of energy coming by. Expect rain showers today. Couple of rumbles of thunder, but this is not a strong or severe thunderstorm setup at all. 70 for the high. A lot of the day in the 60s. Tonight, clouds and showers, 57. Friday, sunny. Beautiful afternoon, 75. Warm it up for the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, sunshine, 84 each day. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
8:06 is our time. Our temperature 56 degrees. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show on 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere by downloading the free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
Listen to both sides. The bottom line is, I respect that we don't agree.
You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Just to find a voice.
Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
I don't know how to put this.
Marc Cox.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Well, it adds excitement, doesn't it, folks?
All right, welcome back. A few minutes after 8 on your Thursday morning. I'm Marc Cox. That is Kim St. Onge. Ethan Bright across the panel here from me. And, of course, Sue Thomas in with your traffic. No rain yet. It's coming this way, depending on where you are in the sound of my voice. Maybe to the west, out past Wentzville or near there, a little further to the north. Certainly Jeff City area to this side. I know our signal goes out to almost Jonesburg. You're probably already seeing some rain. It's going to hit this afternoon for sure. Looks like a decent weekend, though, so we got that to look forward to. Glad you're with us. If you missed the last hour, it was a big one. We had Borders Art Tom Homan on live at the top of the 7 o'clock hour. You can go back and pick that up on the podcast at 971talk.com or wherever you get your podcasts. We put each segment up there every morning, so there is you can listen to the show, anything you miss. Tom Homan with some interesting things to say about the big, beautiful bill and what it means for him. I mean, debate aside over whether it cuts enough spending, there are things it does accomplish, like border security and the wall, and that, of course, is important to a border czar. And he talked a little bit about the northern border and the fact that it's not as secure as it could be either. So if you want to listen to that, that's how you can find it. Coming up, we will talk to Shannon Bream and Griff Jenkins, as we always do on a Thursday. Shannon, of course, we can pick her brain over this odd ruling by a trade court on tariffs, trying to claim that even though Congress gave the president the authority to add or remove tariffs, that somehow it's improper because Donald Trump has done it. It's a very odd reading of this, I think, at least on the as you do read it, but I think it'll get overturned pretty quickly. John Kennedy tends to agree with me on that one. Senator Kennedy. We'll get to all that and more in just a couple of minutes. First, though, I want to get to the short list, please.
The Marc Cox short list.
You can have the best trade schools anywhere in the world, and you give them the money, they can only be used for trade schools, and they'll teach people how to build motors and cars, and we've never had a boom like we're having now. You're going to see it.
Yeah, Donald Trump talking about some of the money he's taken away from Harvard. Instead of being spent on pointy-headed liberals, he's going to redistribute it to vocational schools. Tomorrow, we're going to talk to the folks from St. Charles Community College because they're working on that very issue right now.
We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. It's called negotiation, but I knew that. But don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question.
You're a chicken. You're a chicken, they said to the president, because you negotiate, you threaten tariffs, and then you back off from them. And some people don't understand the art of negotiation.
Cocaine at the White House. I thought the Secret Service investigated that, so I don't follow it and understand it. I also don't understand who the audience is for this tweet.
Yeah, James Comey is suddenly back in the news, right? He doesn't understand what 86 is. He doesn't know why in the world you need to investigate cocaine left in the White House. Why are we looking into these things? It's almost hard to believe this man used to be the top law enforcement officer for the entire country.
The other thing on the internet is the Epstein files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is the same as everything else. I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever, but I'm also not going to rush to get it out there in a format in which they can't rely on it.
Yeah, there's Kash Patel, FBI director. Lots of people maybe anxious, maybe questioning why we haven't gotten answers to some of these longstanding questions sooner. I think that's the way to boil it down. And it's understandingly frustrating. You assume that the Epstein investigation, the Crossfire Hurricane investigation of supposed Russian collusion, all that stuff, it'd be pretty easy to open those files up and see where the problem was. Patel says, I'm looking into all that. It's just not that easy because you've got, in some cases, 6, 7, 10 years of deceit going on, and you've got to go in and filter out the truth and kind of see where things went wrong.
This is just one of those things I don't see us ever really getting a clear understanding of what happened.
No, maybe not.
I'm hopeful, but I mean, I would hope we will, because I think a lot of us want answers. But we saw what happened when they talked up this big report, and it was really nothing. And I mean, here's the thing: I trust the Trump administration to reveal the truth more than just about any recent administration. But even with this, I have a hard time believing that they would truly release everything, because it could cause an uproar.
If you don't get it out of Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, you're never going to get it.
Right.
So let's give them a little bit of time. Bongino's been on the job, a month? So it's really not a lot of time has been given to him yet to do this. So I think we need to be patient. I do, Kim, changing subjects for a minute. I have to point out, I don't know if you pay any attention to this or not, but there's been a lot of focus on how Tashara Jones dealt with the homeless downtown.
The unhoused.
I'm sorry, whatever you want to call them. The people that don't have a place to sleep. They sleep on the streets, or they sleep in tents. And Tashara Jones famously prevented them from sleeping in a couple of the parks by just fencing them off. And after Kara Spencer took over, they took down most of the fences, but not all of them. There's still a fence up around the old criminal courts building over here at basically 14th and Market Street. But now the homeless have started gathering again. I notice it when I leave each morning down here, because we're basically at 12th and Olive. And as you go over here toward Market Street, they all gather in the park on the other side of the War Memorial. And it is an absolute mess.
Trash everywhere. I noticed that this morning.
There's garbage and trash all over downtown where the group has started assembling now. They moved across from the War Memorial here. I don't, maybe the city's been distracted because of the tornado damage, and everybody's up there concentrating on that, and these folks have just moved down the street and taken over a different park.
Why can't I see places in the city where they'll put a trash can right there? If there's not a trash can, they'll put sometimes a trash bag, trying to encourage people to throw their trash away. Is it really that hard to just throw your trash away? I know a lot of these people are probably strung out on drugs and they just don't care. But that irks me, that you can't just take 5 seconds and throw your trash away so that our city doesn't look like a big dump.
Well, they put porta potties out there, I noticed, maybe to try to alleviate the public urination problem, but they're not addressing the issue anymore. It'll be interesting. We should try to get our friend Elliot Davis back on the radio and see if he's got any insight on that, because he's been reporting a lot on the homeless situation, also the disaster recovery, which, by the way, 971talk.com, we've still got links up there. Lots of people still in need, lots of agencies still helping, and you can donate directly to them at 971talk.com. Quick break. Shannon Bream, straight ahead. We'll get her take on the latest ruling by a judge to try to stop the executive branch from conducting business. We'll see if she thinks it's legit and how long it'll stand. Coming up.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, if you are on eastbound 70 or will be this morning, that's the place to be. It looks great from Wright City into downtown. No delays on westbound 270. 6440, though. There's some volume 170 through Big Bend. Where we have heavy traffic is downtown. If you're headed into Illinois, on the Poplar Street Bridge, there's a delay due to emergency bridge deck repairs in the mainline lanes, and those are closed and will be through tomorrow. That's created a jam on 64 and on 44 and on 55 as drivers head for the bridge. Now, northbound 270, just moderate volume, and that's in pockets between Doherty Ferry and it looks like Ladue Road. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, Lakeside Renovation and Design has been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. If you have wondered if you've saved enough money to retire, and I think a lot of us have, because here's what we know. Okay, I have got to save some money here to retire. I'm going to do it for X amount of years. Hopefully you started early, but some didn't. Well, now you get closer to retirement. Do you know what to do? Do you have a plan to make that money go as far as it possibly can? Well, that's why I think it's a good idea for this. It's a one-night class taught by a fiduciary advisor from financial and tax architects called Retirement Planning 101. It's 3 hours. It's for adults. And they teach you some of this stuff. Now, in 3 hours, can you do everything? No, but you'll find out about reducing taxes and what to do about healthcare in retirement. They do it for free, but they ask that you bring 3 canned goods for a St. Louis Crisis Nursery. There are a handful of openings for classes this month and next, but you have to register. So call 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012. And I think you'll feel better, at least getting a handle on what you're facing.
Have you been notified that your subsidy for Obamacare health insurance is going away? Well, you can leave now while you're still healthy and qualify for much better individual plans. Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com has been helping people get affordable health insurance with great coverage for over 35 years. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan by you, not the government.
He's not from the government, but he is here to help. The Marc Cox Morning Show. The Marc Cox Morning Show, on the air and streaming at 971talk.com.
Okay, Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. Trouble ahead, trouble behind, and know that notion just crossed.
The big news tonight, a federal court just blocked the majority of Trump's tariffs. The Court of International Trade saying he overstepped his authority under an International Emergency Economic Powers Act. This was, I believe, the 3-judge panel. There was a Reagan appointee, a Trump appointee, and a Biden appointee.
Get up, baby! Get up!
There's only one Shannon. Shannon Bream, host of Fox News Sunday. Shannon, great to have you back. How are you this morning?
I'm good, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing fine. It comes at us rapid fire. It's like drinking out of a fire hose or something. So last night, as you heard Laura Ingraham there reporting on this this decision to block the president's ability to I guess set tariffs, stop tariffs. What impact does this have?
Well, listen, a lot of the markets and folks around the world are cheering this. They have not enjoyed the instability of this season and of President Trump's ability to levy some really heavy-handed, heavy-duty tariffs around the world. But it only freezes part of his tariffs. You know, what they found essentially is he didn't have the power to declare an emergency to justify those tariffs. Other big tariffs left in place, things dealing with, metals and steel and auto. And the president does have some other levers that give him the opportunity to levy tariffs, but in much smaller numbers. So we'll see. I mean, the administration signaled right away that they intend to appeal this, and I imagine that will take no time.
Yeah, probably not. I love John Kennedy's reaction to this. Let me play it.
You mean that a federal judge has intervened with the other 2 branches' ability to make policy? I'm shocked. That hasn't happened since yesterday.
Right.
As only Kennedy can say it. So tell me about this 3-judge panel. This is some sort of a trade court. Is that what it is?
Yes, the U.S. Court of International Trade. It's a federal court. It's centered in New York City. Essentially, from there, you can go to file appeal at the federal circuit. That's the appellate, the next step up, which is assuming where they're going to go.
Okay.
Rather than asking for a fuller, broader hearing back there at the International Court where they just lost. But eventually, all of this is on a track to the Supreme Court. That's where this would eventually end up if those appeals continue. So, listen, they're already dealing with dozens of issues involving the Trump administration. Some of them cases they've heard on the merits, others are all of these emergency things that are pending. But I would imagine the Trump administration has a very fast track plan to get there as quickly as they can.
Shannon, have you been following this whole story out of Seattle where now Dan Bongino's getting involved and he's calling on an investigation because he's saying it was basically targeted violence against religious groups who had gathered together when there were some counter protests that broke out.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to blame the Christian group that had gathered there for the violence.
And what I know of this story is that these folks had applied for a permit. I mean, that they were trying to do this in accordance with what Seattle requires of various demonstrations and those kinds of things. And that, yes, there were counter protesters who showed up and clearly had a very different point of view. And some of the stuff got really tense and it was not a good situation. There were a number of arrests, but you're right. The Seattle, I believe it was the mayor who came out at some point and was saying like, this is religious people. They're the crazy ones. They're the ones who created the trouble. And there are a lot of other folks who, they had their cell phones. They were taking video of things as they were happening and tell a very different story.
Yeah, very true. We got Shannon Bream on here with us, host of Fox News Sunday. I was watching, of course, the fallout from the big, beautiful bill. The headlines this morning would lead one to believe that because Elon Musk disagrees with Donald Trump on the cuts in the bill, that's the reason he's currently leaving the administration. But when you read Elon's statement, that's not what it is at all. I mean, is that your take on it?
Well, yeah. And the thing is, we have been telling people who are listening from the beginning that he has this special government employee status that was time limited. Even if he wanted to stay and keep doing in a very full-throated way. Listen, he says the Doge work is going to continue, but doing it in the same way, there was always a time limit on him. So it's a little disingenuous, I think, to see some of these headlines blaring like Elon runs away and all of these kinds of things where we knew that there was going to be a cutoff point for his active involvement under this, special government employee status.
Yeah, I wondered about that as I was reading this because Doge continues. I mean, he claims that whatever cuts they've corrected here or whatever waste they've corrected is going to be a path forward for the government to continue those sorts of savings.
Yeah, and I do think that there's definitely some disappointment for those who are really backing what Musk was trying to do, feeling like there would be bigger numbers, there would be bigger cuts. Even he has said, I did not realize just how difficult this swamp thing was going to be, which was the feeling I got from President Trump the first time around his first term. I felt like Elon Musk is having the experience that Donald Trump had when he became president the first time.
Right.
Walking into this place that is so dense with bureaucracy and out of control spending that it is a really difficult thing for anybody to say. We've had decades and decades, if not longer, of, calls for, cuts to waste, fraud, and abuse by the D's and the R's. And then when you get here and try to do it, man, there are roadblocks you couldn't imagine.
Yeah, very true. The Golden Dome came up again this week. I heard President Trump talking about that and suggesting he might extend it to Canada if they want to become the 51st state.
Right. And he continues to use this language, our most cherished, beautiful 51st state. Like, we're going to treat you great. Just come on down. I think we all know that is not happening.
No.
But he's not going to miss an opportunity to stir the pot a little bit when it comes to Canada.
No, I don't. And, the Canadians, I don't think they've really responded to that one yet. But
no.
Have you had a chance to talk to like that new Canadian prime minister or anyone like that?
I haven't. And it's been so interesting to watch, where the polls were 6 months ago to where they ended up this time. But it's interesting to see that when some of these leaders are face to face with President Trump, they will, have a very heated rhetorical back and forth between the two of them. But then when you see them together and you wonder behind closed doors, it really ratchets down and they start to talk about the serious things that they have to handle as, allies, trading partners, people who share a border. So I'll be interested to see how that relationship develops.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Are you expecting anything big out of the Supreme Court this week?
Well, 10 a.m. this morning, we will get opinions. We are waiting on a number of big ones on everything from guns to, trans treatment for minors, a big law out of Tennessee being challenged there, and so many more. Funding for Planned Parenthood. There's a lot. The court will tell us you're getting something, but won't tell us what we're getting. So it's sort of like Christmas morning with a stack of dread on the side because you just don't know what's coming. But it's a surprise starting at 10 a.m. Eastern.
How about Sunday morning? You got plans yet?
We do. We're actually going to be live from the Edward Kennedy Center up in Boston for a couple of reasons, but we're going to have Senator Dave McCormick with us, Republican out of Pennsylvania, to talk, foreign policy. The president will be in Pittsburgh on Friday. But on Monday, I am moderating a debate between Senators Fetterman and McCormick there at the Kennedy Center in Boston. So we're going to set that up. And, a lot of folks, they are wondering how Senator Fetterman is really doing. So he'll join us for that special debate on Monday, too.
Looking forward to it, Shannon. Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
You bet. Shannon Bream, Fox News Sunday. All right, coming up, we'll find out what our buddy Griff Jenkins is up to this week. Back in a minute.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
The Zoo football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
I'm Nicole Murray with Your Money Now. Google has begun direct online sales of its popular hardware devices in India, including Pixel phones, watches, and earbuds, ahead of an anticipated launch of its first physical stores in the South Asian nation. The Alphabet-owned firm said it has for the first time enabled direct online purchases for Indian users on the official Google Store website. The Trump administration has canceled a contract awarded to Moderna for the late-stage development of its bird flu vaccine for humans, as well as the right to purchase shots. Moderna in January was awarded $590 million by the Biden administration to advance the development of its bird flu vaccine. Ford Motor is recalling nearly 1.1 million Ford and Lincoln vehicles because of a software problem that could cause the rear view camera image to malfunction when the car is in reverse. Ford said it has received one report of a minor crash resulting in property damage related to the recall. Futures are moderately higher after NVIDIA's strong earnings report. That's Your Money Now.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now, to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, if you're just headed out, we've got some volume downtown. If you're headed for the Poplar Street Bridge, we've got emergency bridge deck repairs eastbound 5564 from the Poplar to about Broadway in East St. Louis Boulevard, and they've closed the main line lanes, and that's created a jam back on 6440, on 44, and on 55. Now, if you're just eastbound on 70 this morning, it looks great out west into downtown. Little bit of volume eastbound 64 at 170. Southbound 270 slowing at Ladue Road, northbound as well. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. It looks like this report is brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning on 97.1 FM Talk.
In the 70s, baseball player Jerry Kelly decided to do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
This year, the company Jerry started decided we'd do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating, Air, and Electrical.
And electrical.
JerryKelly.com.
All right, you are running out of time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, today's the 29th. On the 31st is the deadline to put your name in the hat to possibly win a residential lighting giveaway by my friends over at Pro Outdoor. Go to ProOutdoor.com, click on residential lighting, that drop-down tab, and you will see the entry form. It's got 97.1 right there on it. They're giving away a package worth up to $2,500. I'm telling you, there's a picture of my house up on my Facebook page. It just makes a world of difference when you let them come in and professionally light your house. It's beautiful. It gives you extra security. It adds to your curb appeal. I mean, I love it. My wife and I couldn't be happier with it. You have a chance to win one of these packages. No purchase is necessary. Just enter your name online, and they're going to pick a winner on June 6th, but you have to do it by May 31st. So get busy. Go to ProOutdoor.com. In the meantime, anything you need for your yard, dealing with your irrigation system, or if you need one installed, they can usually do that in like one day. Call them up. Let them come out and give you a free estimate on what that would look like for your yard. It's one-stop shopping. It's ProOutdoor.com.
Retirement statements just hit mailboxes, and for many, the shock is real. Some investors lost 20% or more in just the first quarter. If you're close to retirement, that's more than a dip. It's a danger. But here's what most advisors won't tell you. Gold was up over 30% during the same time. That's a 60% swing. And at retirement, that kind of gap can change everything. So compare your Q1 statement to gold's performance. Then call Noble Gold Investments. Noble Gold specializes in helping people protect what they've earned with real assets like gold and silver. If you're tired of watching your nest egg shrink, it may be time for a change. And right now, when you open a qualified account, you'll receive a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar. Compare and call 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. Or visit NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Who has the most 5-star reviews in St. Louis? Is J.D. Powers Award winner 5 years in a row and has the nation's best warranty coverage. Renewal by Andersen, that's who. Take advantage of our great May sale. $279 off every window and $729 off every entry door or patio door with 0 payments and 0 interest for 18 months. Check it out at rbastl.com or call 314-332-1924. Renewal by Andersen, a better way to a better window.
It's not too late for a deep spring cleaning on your home. Give my friends at Zerorez a call today. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning package. Visit ZerorezSL.com and tell me what the Mark Reardon special, or call 314-474-2020.
Fully awake, never woke. The Marc Cox Morning Show.
I love the colorful clothes you wear.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
We made great strides in border security. We got to make those strides permanent. We still got a lot more work to do. I mean, the southern border, we're down about 95% right now. but we still need, we got a lot of DOD, thousands of DOD soldiers down there to fill in the blanks in the zones we can't cover. So look, we need to hire more border agents. That's in the bill. We need more technology.
In Kyiv, Ukraine, Griff Jenkins, Fox News. Along the southern border, Griff Jenkins, Fox News. At the White House, Griff Jenkins, Fox News. In St. Louis, Griff Jenkins, Fox News.
Tell me where in the world is
Griff Jenkins.
Watch your back.
All right, Griff. I know you're kind of a big deal, but that was Tom Homan who joined us live this morning to talk about his crackdown on the border. That was pretty cool.
It was cool, and you guys did a great interview. I was listening to it. I thought it was fantastic. I couldn't have done a better job. And, it's interesting to me, by the way, when Kim, you were talking about really driving about, and you too, Mark, about, why the media hates Trump so much. And then there at the end of the interview, going after having Tom Homan explain that they never talked about him removing himself from contracts, and that's all the headlines. And, you wonder whether or not, a future, Kim, you were saying a future, Republican in office would be as hated as Trump is.
Yeah.
But what's crazy to me, just to walk it out, not just from the media standpoint, is the continued political hatred. The Democrat Party has decided that they are, as Tom Cotton says, the party of illegal immigration. And literally, the story I'm working on today is talking about how Stephen Miller last night on Hannity was confirming this, and then Homan talking with you, increasing this to 3,000 arrests per day by ICE, which is, by the way, a really lofty goal. Many say is going to be nearly impossible to attain, certainly without a ton more money and resources. They're going to need bed space and stuff like that. But, you've got Democrats that just continue to rally around illegal criminal aliens. We've seen this with Kilmar Abrego Garcia and a handful of other cases. But now AOC is bringing back the abolish ICE rhetoric in a campaign letter. She literally put it there, the White House blasting it, saying, why does AOC want to stop that? Why? You wonder if we'll ever reach or this will continue where one party is so driven by pure unbridled hatred of the other person, in this case Trump, that they're willing to put Americans at risk. We just had the Mexican illegal in Wisconsin threatening to kill Trump. Down in Texas, illegal Venezuelans killed a young 18-year-old beautiful Air Force Academy cadet candidate, and it defies logic.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You know who we haven't heard about, just talking about these illegals, the Abrego Garcia guy. I mean, have you heard about him or Mark? I've not heard about him in
only
weeks.
Last week when some congressman flew down there and demanded to meet with him and was turned away at the prison. And then he referred to the guy as his constituent. I'm thinking, he's not your constituent. He's an El Salvadorian resident.
Right. No, ridiculous. So this is Congressman Ivey,
yes,
of Maryland, who's saying that this is, his constituent, and you saw DHS retweeting. Ivey put out a little self-serving press conference standing down there in El Salvador saying, I demand to see my guy. But then, of course, DHS said, let's not forget this is an MS-13 gang member, a domestic violence, wife-beating guy. This, guy has been allegedly tied to human trafficking. It's just, on the one hand, you can just call it out for the absurdity that it is, but on the other hand, it does give you pause and a little bit of concern that we've reached the point where people will become so politically absorbed that they're willing to put community safety at heightened risk.
Yeah, I would agree. See, here's the thing about it, and I watch these media headlines all the time, which is why I brought that up to Homan this morning, and thank you for listening. I really do appreciate that. I see the the deriding comments about Kristi Noem. They refer to her as the Ice Barbie and all these things to try to run her down. And the Democrats would never do that to one of their own. They would consider that sexist and all that. But they use that kind of terminology about her as if she's not a serious person. I think she's very serious about what she's doing.
Of course she is. And she is, as she's often said, that the number one mandate that the November election gave Donald Trump as president and his administration was to secure our border, because people across every political stripe, demographic, nationality, you name it, they overwhelmingly 80-20 plus, more like 90-10, said that we want something done. And you have these daily reminders, stark, tragic reminders of the tragic consequences of having 4 years of a totally open border. And so, she's showing, I think she's probably more than happy to wear as a badge of honor these attacks, because it shows that she is focusing and really trying to lean into delivering on that mandate.
Well, it's a big job. I just can't imagine. We asked Homan this morning Kim did about the $1,000 they were offering people to fly out of the country. And what did he say? 8,000?
He said 8,000 of what signed up for it or something.
Or had taken advantage, but they need to boost those numbers, according to what he's saying.
Yeah, I mean, look, $1,000 is nothing to sneeze at in terms of a stipend. But the other thing that they, I think, in their messaging, they need to lean a little hard into, which is we are still a country of immigrants, and even the administration, which is being derided by critics for cracking down and doing these raids and doing the mass deportations, they're also defending legal immigration. And if you take that $1,000 and self-deport, you put yourself on a path to return the legal way. But if you get rounded up and deported, you're also marked for never having a shot at coming to the country. And I think they might do themselves a favor to lean a little more into, the part of the message that reminds them, look, if you really want to come here, then come the legal way, and this will help you on that path. But the alternative is a dead end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree. Griff, always great having you on, my friend. Best of luck with that story today.
Hey, thanks, guys, and great interview with Tom. I love it. I'm always listening.
Thanks, Griff.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. Always great to get him on here, because they've got him on something different every week. And he's always filling in on Fox and Friends on the weekends. And
he does Outnumbered. He's done. Has he been on Gut? I mean, he's everywhere.
The Saturday show that he's on,
Yeah.
that he's on there all the time. Yeah, he's the man wears many hats for Fox, for sure. All right, we're going to get to a quick break. An update on this Tesla vandal that we've reported, who's been charged now, but you probably only know it if you're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show. We'll get to more on that for you coming up.
The Marc Cox Morning Show
on 97.1 FM Talk.
She's giving me citations. I'm backing up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Winding down nicely on the commute this morning, but we still have some slow-moving traffic if you are headed into Illinois on the Poplar Street Bridge. We've got emergency bridge deck repairs eastbound on the bridge. They've got the main line lanes closed and a jam that goes back onto the Missouri side. And that's jammed up 44 eastbound trying to make it to the bridge, which merges with 55. So that is the worst of it right now. Everywhere else, we're looking pretty good. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, let's talk for a moment about what's protecting your home, right? Not talking about your security system. I'm talking about what is on the outside of your structure. If you've got, do you have brick? Do you have that hardy cement board siding? Maybe steel or aluminum siding on there? You know that if you paint that, regular old paint tends to wear down. The rain and the hail and the snow beat it down, and the sun makes it fade. It looks kind of chalky. Let me recommend my friends over at Rhino Shield, because this stuff goes on super thick and it lasts and lasts, and it holds its color. It is 100% waterproof. That has a lot to do with that. Rejects 90% of the sun's rays, which can destroy regular paint. And the big box stores don't want you to know about Rhino Shield because they give you a 25-year warranty when you have it put on. So it covers up whatever's on the outside of your house. It protects it. It beautifies it. It is beautifully durable, and they are signing up people right now for this late spring and summer jobs to get this put on. Takes them 2 to 3 coats, about 4 or 5 days to get it on your house, and you're good to go. Call for your free evaluation today, 877-25-RHINO, or go online to 877-25rhino.com.
Hey guys, it's Mark Bearden. If you're struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain, Game Day Men's Health has got you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more in all of a relaxed man cave environment. At Game Day, you'll get a free testosterone test and consultation, all in just 1 hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Get back in the game with Game Day Men's Health.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
The Annie Fry Show.
Representative Eric Burleson is on with us.
Now you've got lefty, reporters writing books about all this cover-up. This may be one of the greatest scandals, at least of our generation.
Weekdays from noon to 3. A strong mind and a legislative body. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Find everything Marc Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
A soccer tournament for my son. And we parked my car, which is a Tesla, and we went and watched the game. And when he and I came back, there was something attached to it that was not there when we had left. It was this. Someone had taped a sign, "Musk is a Nazi," to my car. Now, they obviously had pre-written this, or they have a bunch of them, right? But "Musk is a Nazi" taped to my car. So this is the first time I've experienced the sort of politics of Elon Musk and Tesla. And I wanted to talk a little bit about it because
yeah, Chris,
the journey I have had with this car is in some ways a journey of I think a lot of people have had with politics.
Yeah, Chris Cillizza there. I don't know if you recognize the name or not. He's a longtime commentator on CNN, and he's got his own podcast now. And lo and behold, his Tesla got vandalized. So Cillizza is a liberal, like a lot of the people on CNN. And of course, a few years ago when he bought his Tesla, never dawned on him that his own fellow liberals might turn against him. So he was shocked to come out and find that somebody had put a sign on his car that Elon Musk is a Nazi.
That's one of the craziest parts about all of this is the people who they're probably hurting are people who agree with them.
Politically, yes, yeah. Yes. And that's the thing that is the most hilarious about all of this is that they're now protesting the very electric vehicles that they want to mandate that you buy. So now they don't want you to buy that particular brand, but they still want to dictate that you have to go buy an electric vehicle. Unfortunately, those mandates are being stripped. Trump is trying to strip them, the one that in California by 2035. So 10 years from now, you will no longer be able to buy gasoline-powered cars in the state of California, new. Every car sold on a lot, brand new, would have to be an EV if you live in the crazed state of California. Another really good reason not to make Canada the 51st state, because it would be California on steroids.
Oh, yeah.
Why would we want to adopt that problem?
Do you really see that happening, though?
No,
I mean, they might say, oh, by this year, this has to happen. But then when push comes to shove, that's not.
I don't.
No, I mean, even the people in California, as liberal as many of them are, they would probably realize at some point this is a bad idea.
But there are a few provinces up there that have voted. I think some of them are currently voting on secession, potential secession from Canada, where they first have to vote on seceding, then they'd have to vote on whether or not they were interested in aligning themselves with the United States in some capacity. If indeed that happens, I'm going to go up there and buy property because it's all going to become very valuable, a lot more valuable than it is now. I don't know that realistically ever happens. But part of a bigger discussion here, back to the Teslas. These liberals are insane, and they're targeting this because they're redirecting their hatred of Donald Trump toward Elon Musk. What are they going to do now that Musk is stepping down from Doge and going back to flying rockets and building cars?
Maybe their hatred toward Trump will somehow grow, if that's even possible. They don't have as much hate to distribute to Elon Musk. So now it just all that hate toward him has to get redirected back to Trump.
Which brings us to the topic at hand, and that is the fact that this week in the city of Kirkwood, they filed charges against somebody for vandalizing a Tesla. Now, we've started, today is the 29th day of May. On May 2nd, I believe, is the day we first reported this. The video on TikTok had gone viral, on X, I should say. And a local group of Tesla owners were showing this video where a guy, two different incidents in a row, had recorded the same man coming up and slapping F Elon stickers on the side of his car at a coffee shop. So he called the police. Kirkwood police detained the guy. Famously, he had an interaction with him, accusing him of doing it. The guy denied any knowledge of it, although the picture is crystal clear. It's very obviously him.
Very clear. Yeah.
These cameras on these cars are amazing. You'd be stupid to vandalize a Tesla because there are cameras all over it. So our question was, well, what are they going to charge him with? Well, they finally got around to charging him with harassment under a Kirkwood City ordinance 565.0, blah, 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 blah. So he's now charged. That happened 2 days ago. So my question yesterday when we reported this was, why hasn't the local media picked up on this? There's video of the guy committing the crime. He's now been charged in Kirkwood. It's on Missouri CaseNet for all of you reporters out there who don't know how to do your jobs. It's all on Missouri CaseNet. So we even went so far as to, Kim tweeted it out earlier, at Channel 4, at Channel 5, at Channel 2, and at the Post Disgrace. This is news breaking right under your nose. Why won't you report on it? Why would the local news stations why would they intentionally ignore this story? If it was somebody arrested or charged for slapping F Biden or, let's go Brandon stickers on liberals' cars, then they would absolutely have covered this story. And they're ignoring this one. And in fact, if you're not listening to conservative radio, we were the ones that broke the story. I'm sure others picked it up. You wouldn't even know about it. You would be unaware of it. That William Howells, who's a WashU employee, is now charged with harassment for applying these bumper stickers to another person's car.
I could understand them needing to redirect their focus to the tornado aftermath right now, but this happened earlier in May, long before any of that even happened.
And that is sort of an excuse, but this happened like 3 weeks ago.
Right.
You're right.
They had plenty of time. And the video was out even at that point.
If you can just go to one of their websites, they're covering plenty of other news stories besides just this the tornado recovery, but not this one. So there you have it. I don't know. Stay tuned. The Kilmeade Show will be up next. I'm still mad at these local news stations for not treating this like it's news. So I haven't given up yet. Maybe they'll still wake up. I kind of doubt it. Kilmeade is up next. He's going to have the latest on what's going on up in DC for you on the big, beautiful bill. Enjoy your Thursday. A little bit of rain coming this way. We'll see you back here Friday morning at 5 a.m. Have a great day.
The Marc Cox Morning Show
on 97.1 FM Talk.